Hello and welcome back to a brand new episode of the Pick a Side podcast. My name is Joel Moran and I'm here with River Brown and Velez and Joe Dehls. This is now episode 386. In this episode, we are going to talk about the Lakers hiring JJ Redick, OKC trading for Alex Caruso, Malik Monk signing with the Kings, Bengals versus Ravens debate, and our most underrated quarterbacks heading into 2024 NFL season. Mr. Dehls, you were at the Celtics parade. How was it?
Oh, it was amazing. I'm tired. I just got back like probably an hour ago. But calm, 3.5 hours there, about 4 hours back. The parade was amazing, man. I saw Missoula, saw JT. JB's the only one I didn't see because he was like on the other side of the duck boats. But Al, Dereck White, Pritchard, all the guys, just the genuine happiness. Riv, I'm happy you're on the show. It's been a while since I've seen you. Just any thoughts on the 2024 Celtics? I didn't see any tweets about it. Didn't get any text about it. Obviously, you haven't been on the show. I don't know. We won like 2 weeks ago. You still haven't been here. I'm just wondering your thoughts on what transpired.
Was I supposed to text you like
something?
I would hope so.
And say what?
Acknowledgement,
Congrats, bro.
Nah, you don't get that from me.
Just acknowledge it because you had a lot of energy of why they wouldn't win the championship. So just wondering where it was. You had a lot of energy of them not winning a championship potentially, or praying to Allah that they don't win a championship. So just wondering,
I don't think that's how that went. But
I'm just wondering where the energy is.
That's
on
a
the
direct
other side.
quote. I'm sorry, but
that is a direct quote.
No, I think the direct quote was, "You better pray to Allah that you guys do win."
Yeah, because the slander would have been astronomical.
It would have been a lot.
It's a factual statement.
That's a factual statement. Dehls, congrats. You guys won the championship. Did what you're supposed to do. I don't really have shit else to say. I did watch.
Fuck the Celtics.
I'm not gonna go that far. It's definitely fuck Dehls for sure. But I was telling Dehls that last episode was definitely the first episode I actually watched from start to finish. It was entertaining.
That episode was good as hell.
Yeah, it was entertaining. Dehls, you had your moment. You deserve it. And you did.
Bottom make coach still, you think, or?
No, that one is.
He graduated.
He graduated.
Cool.
He's now in the upper echelon.
Glad
class
we could get past for the academy.
Jaylen Brown's still mid.
I don't think I ever said mid. Mid is such a strong word. I've said mid for Tobias Harris. We've been. I took that out for that one a minute ago. But I did see some Jaylen Brown stuff, some Tatum stuff. Excited to talk about that. I'll give you a month. You're getting a month from me. So.
Cool. I don't give a fuck what you give me.
Yeah.
I have.
Do you
this
think
for a
Jaylen
year.
Brown deserved MVP?
Ooh. Damn.
Seems like a lot of people believe that Jason Tatum should have been MVP. That shit's shocking to me.
You could have gave it to either guy, honestly. It really was like a team type effort thing against Dallas. You could have gave it to the whole fucking team. Everybody gets a Finals MVP.
Drew was so fucking good.
Yeah. I will say he's probably the worst Finals MVP in the last 10 years, though.
I mean,
statistic wise,
Iggy counts.
That's how spread out it was for Boston.
What did he average, like 22?
I mean, there's
5
also
5?
been unbelievable finals.
I mean, 10. I can name all 10 in the past 10 years that are better.
I'm not going to do that.
Outside of Iguodala.
And literally, Iggy's is the worst one.
He did lock down the best offensive player in the game, according to you, and also including the best backcourt in NBA history. So that feals like means something.
Shit.
Andre Iguodala?
No,
Or you talking about Jaylen Brown?
Jaylen Brown, because you.
Nah,
Okay, answer me this question. Better than 2023 Jokic?
Of course not.
No.
2022 Jokic?
No, doing this though is not.
It's not necessary.
It's not necessary, but it's also not minimizing Jaylen Brown because we understand he's not an MVP, a regular season MVP level player. However, the performance that he just put forth in these playoffs against, like he just said, arguably the best offensive player in the league.
Just feels like it should matter a little bit. I don't know.
It definitely
does matter. It's a Finals MVP, but
no. The job he did
Hall of Fame's locked.
to achieve it. Yo,
Hall of Fame's locked.
He really is going to the fucking Hall.
No, of course. We don't minimize it. He won Finals MVP. He made his impact on the series 100%.
Hall of Fame is locked is an insane thought.
In the last 20 years.
Iggy shit was locked. The Jaylen Brown shit could definitely be locked.
You think Iggy's locked?
Might as
He
well
might be
be
a Hall
right.
of Famer.
Yeah. He had a couple, like 1 or 2 NBAs.
You saw that's been a recent conversation about. You just had the clip with Whistle talking about Drew Holiday. Then I think he was on Player's Choice. They were having conversations about Al Horford being a Hall of Famer.
He had a
now.
nice little career.
He does have a cute career, but then that kind of goes off the same sentiment. Even though it doesn't have the Finals MVP, that kind of accolade. Iguodala, is he a Hall of Famer? That's an interesting thought too.
Probably.
I think
All-Stars, Finals MVP ring.
Yeah, he was really good when
Conversations,
he was on the Sixers.
around the NBA Hall of Fame are meaningless because anybody can get in. And it's not a slight to Jaylen Brown, because I think Jaylen Brown will have a better case
Anybody's
than the worst
word.
Hall of Famer that got in.
It's an easy Hall of Fame to get to if you're great.
But when you talk about the NFL Hall of Fame, that is something that it's a gold standard. I don't think the NBA Hall of Fame is necessarily a gold standard of the NBA
basketball
players.
Hall of Fame. So you just whatever you've done in basketball.
But there are players that even didn't win in college and they still got into the basketball Hall of Fame.
Hey, you get a couple of them all first teams, them all American shits. Listen, yeah, but shout out to you, Dehls, because you deserve it, man.
Thank you, bro.
You know, I'm sorry I didn't text you. I didn't know I had to.
No, it's okay. I just some acknowledgement.
My
Twitter,
team wins a chip. I want to text.
Instagram.
Oh, you're definitely
a
not getting
text.
one.
Showing up to the show. Showing up to the podcast.
I wouldn't send none of you a text.
I didn't text
memo.
you after the Golden State Warriors.
I don't remember.
Fucking
Truthfully,
of course I did.
Maybe you. I'm not saying you're lying. I just don't remember.
I probably text you in the fucking Astros one.
Oh, you did that. Nah, you definitely ain't text me with that. No, you
I probably did.
So a popular name with the worst Hall of Famers is Maurice Cheeks. He's a 4-time All-Star, 5-time All-Defensive Team, and he's a 1-time NBA champion.
What was his numbers?
His numbers for his career were 11 points and 7 assists.
But like
at his peak, he was averaging 15 and 9.
Okay,
shit, what's that much better?
And Ben Wallace isn't he in the Hall of Fame too?
He has like 3
Ben
DPOIs.
Wallace is most definitely deserving of being in.
Yeah, but Jaylen Brown's resume is way better than his.
I don't know.
4 DPOIs.
Well, no, I'm not gonna say way better.
It might not be better.
It could be on par.
No, it's not. It's not.
It might not be on
he has
par.
4 DPOYs. He is an NBA champion. Ben Wallace's resume is amazing.
Well, Jaylen Brown's an NBA champion, Finals MVP.
Again, 4 DPOYs.
Yeah,
JB only has All NBA, a couple All Stars, and of course
he has
the
one
ECF
All NBA,
and NBA Finals MVP.
He has 3-time All Star. How many times was Ben Wallace an All Star?
6.
Your guess is
he's a 4-time All Star.
Excuse me.
5-time All NBA.
Yeah, he's got it right now.
Yeah,
he's got it
easily.
Yeah, nah, I bugged out.
He played in the big man.
Thanks for acknowledging.
But Maurice Cheeks is the worst player in the Hall of Fame.
You bring up Ben. Now I can.
He just got in.
Argument.
He recently just got in.
Ben, you're saying?
Yeah, Ben Wallace.
It was a couple years ago.
Shout out to Ben Wallace. Yeah, man. How are you feeling?
Rudy Gobert is going to be a first ballot Hall.
Yeah, how are you feeling? Actually, I want to get to you because I feel like you were, shout out to first of all. Dallas had a successful season. I want you.
I appreciate that.
I want to say that.
Got smoked out.
Imagine that you lose.
I want to say that Dallas, being at the expectation with that, in my opinion, they had a successful season. But all that cute shit is cool and all. But how do you feel after picking the losers to win and they didn't win?
I still feel good.
Really?
The reasoning behind them winning was
terrible.
Their best 2 guys being spectacular.
Oh, right, yeah.
And they weren't spectacular.
Yeah. Kyrie wasn't even close.
Wasn't Luka, and then Kyrie got
best
locked
duo
up.
Ever, you told me.
But even then, with Kyrie, I don't.
Offensive.
I think they made it tough for him defensively, but with Kyrie Irving, I think in games 1 and games 2, he got to his spots. He just wasn't hitting his shots.
What?
Kyrie got to his spots. I feel like he was missing.
He did miss a lot of open shots,
especially
those first 2 games.
It was a tough one to get there. Like it took a lot of energy to get to those spots.
They played elite level defense on him. There's no denying that. But Kyrie Irving missed his fair share of shots that I expect Kyrie Irving to make. It's a make or miss league, and Dallas just wasn't good enough, and their role players shot terribly from wide open threes. Like the 3-point percentage amongst their starters was 18%. So that's as awful as you can get. That's not the team I saw all playoffs long.
Man. It's a shame.
You say that the Dallas Mavericks had a successful season. Can I ask you, did the 2022 Boston Celtics have a successful season?
Yes.
Next topic, man.
You made the finals. I don't. If you make the finals, I don't.
I think both are successes,
with the way
especially
that the
from where they
conversations
were
being
you
had
picked
about
them
the
to lose in
20.
5 in the second round.
Who?
You picked Dallas to lose in 5.
No,
Dallas wasn't even supposed to be here.
All right. First off, that statement has nothing to do with them having a
5 was so
successful or a failed season.
It's a successful season. You picked them to miss the playoffs.
And then
you picked them to not be a top 6 seed in the NBA.
Did you say
had a
us
bet.
or did you say them?
I don't know, like A seed.
Do you believe
did
the
you pick
Boston
us?
Celtics 2022?
Did you say? Did you pick? You picked us to?
No, I say he picked the Mavericks to miss the playoffs.
I thought I heard us.
Let's not forget how we viewed the Mavericks coming into the season. We viewed them. You viewed them as a 10 seed.
That's correct.
And they made the finals.
And then they made trades and they got better.
Season. That's a successful season.
So PJ Washington was the needle mover.
Daniel Gafford and PJ Washington played very well.
Gafford was cool.
They played very well.
They had their moments.
Did the
Gafford wasn't great in the
2022
finals, though.
were they a successful team?
I think the fact that they were so bad to start the season, they were 500. You go on that second half turnaround, it's fair. I think Dallas is the same thing. Where preseason, I thought they were like a play-in team. I think I had them as an 8 seed, and the fact that they went to the finals and PJ Washington and Gafford, good pickups. I don't know if they're the absolute reason why they got to the finals, but they had a big part, especially PJ in that OKC series. If they make the
finals, how can you not call it successful?
It's a disappointment that they lost the finals.
The only disappointing season is a short list.
No, it was.
Denver.
Yes, it was.
No, it's about the Mavericks.
But my whole question is...
Yes, it was.
How is it a disappointment?
Because when you lose the finals, you always feel like shit.
You're the only one who thinks this is a disappointment. They were never going to win this finals.
They disappointed as a team, though.
They disappointed in the finals.
They did not play well.
But it wasn't a disappointment to get to
you were never going to win.
This number lacks context, but Jaylen Brown posted it. 84% of the bets for the NBA Finals were on the Dallas Mavericks.
Yeah,
there were also...
Here's the context. They were underdogs, and people want bread.
That's the context. But there were also a lot of people that picked the Mavericks to win the series that also know basketball. Tim Legler, I think, is one of the most intelligent basketball minds on ESPN, probably the most intelligent basketball mind. He picked the Mavericks. They were red hot coming into the finals. They were shooting well. Luka just had his best series of the playoffs. You were thinking that's going to translate. And Kyrie Irving had his best series of the playoffs against Minnesota, too. You thought it would translate. They were the hottest team going into the finals, and they lost. That's all it is.
I still think 80 to 90% of people picked against the Celtics. They just didn't like the Celtics. And I think the finals proved a lot of that, regardless if you want to say in terms of the shooters missing their open looks, regardless of Kyrie missing open looks. I think we saw that Boston matched up really well against Dallas, and a lot of people overlooked that because of past failures. I'll say this, then we can move on to the first topic. I think there are only a handful of teams that actually had like real disappointing seasons. I think the Denver Nuggets, you go to the finals, you lose in 7 games in the second round. That's a disappointment.
They choked game 7.
Yeah, bad. Up 20 in the second half. The Milwaukee Bucks, you trade for Damian Lillard. You were expected to be on the same tier, if not better, than the Boston Celtics. Even after the Drew trade, even after the KP trade, you were expected to be the best, if not the second best.
Even though they were hurt, you're still calling them a disappointment?
Yes, because even in the regular season, they weren't good. I know they finished as well, the 3 seed, but they were, to fire a coach.
Saying they weren't good and you're a 3 seed. They were underwhelming.
Well, why did they fire their head coach?
I don't know. They had an amazing record.
To their standard, they were disappointment.
They were like 41
and then they were 500 with Doc.
The Bucks were disappointing. We knew they weren't contenders.
I only say that with the idea if Giannis plays, they make it to the second round. That's pretty easy to me.
Yeah,
that's still,
if the Knicks are healthy, they could probably beat that Bucks team.
I don't know that.
I mean, when they got Dame, you thought they should contend for a championship.
For sure.
And even in the regular season, over those 82 games, did you think they really had a chance to beat Boston in the 7-game series?
Their defense really was horrendous.
The only time was when they blew you guys out.
Yeah, and that was after a back-to-back and overtime game. Like, I don't know. I wasn't really tripping over it.
No, of course, you shouldn't be. But that was just one of their statement games for their team.
For sure. It was. Because, our second half came around, took out the starters.
No, they changed it. Yeah, they changed the whole thing, the whole vibe.
But yeah, other teams, Clippers, I think you'd say disappointing. But it's always the same thing every year with them that it almost just feels like expected. The Suns for sure getting swept in the first round. I mean, that was insane. That's probably
it doesn't get worse than that. Nah, that was bottom barrel for them.
Yeah, that was really bad. I don't really know.
Would the Knicks be a part of that?
No, because they were hurt. The Lakers maybe losing in the first round.
I was going to say you could definitely put the Lakers in there.
If you're saying the Bucks, you throw the Bucks and the Clippers in there, but not the Knicks because of injuries. That doesn't make sense to me.
Knicks were a game away from the ECF, and their entire team fell apart.
The Bucks.
It was in the regular season. The Knicks were more impressive to me than the Bucks.
You know what, True. Riv? That's a fair statement to make, though. I wouldn't necessarily say they were disappointing. It
Giannis
was more
the whole
upsetting.
series.
Correct. Again,
Kawhi
I look at
4 games.
It's unfortunate. It's an
I think
unfortunate series of events.
Again, the expectation for the Knicks was I think
ECF.
sealing ECF. But even if they got to the second round again and lost in 7, I get it. Up 2-0. Game 3, you have a chance to win.
I don't know. I feel like they felt like
it was a season to be proud of.
The Bucks are. You should win the finals
for the Knicks.
No.
The Bucks should win the finals, and they didn't. They couldn't get close.
My rebuttal is if you say the Bucks and the Clippers because of injuries, I feel like the Knicks. You kind of have to put them in
didn't have the
group.
same expectation for the Knicks I did the Clippers and the Bucks. I thought those are 2 teams that can go to the finals.
Well, Clippers are just disappointing because of Kawhi's injury.
For sure.
That's it. But I thought they played I thought they competed well.
I feel like we all at this table thought Knicks, ECF can battle with Boston, make it tough.
I mean, they were in Game 7.
To Indiana.
They were in a Game 7 against the Pacers. OG goes down. Brunson gets hurt in Game 7.
No, that was crazy.
I mean, they were going on a run in that second half. Brunson gets hurt, and that was it.
But then Milwaukee didn't have Giannis for a
full
losing
series.
That
game regardless.
Yeah, but the second half, you made a comeback.
We did make a comeback, but Indiana came out and set the pace, set the tempo up early.
I'm not disagreeing.
They were up 2-0.
I'm not disagreeing.
In that Game 3, they had a chance.
I think it's okay to say, like, it sounds funny, but I think it's okay to say yeah, we were a little bit successful, but we still had a bit of a disappointing year because the way we finished. Like, I think the Knicks wanted to finish, and they felt like they should have been, I think everybody at the table felt like they should have been in the Eastern Conference Finals playing Boston. And unfortunately, Hart, OG, Brunson went
Well, this
down.
conversation all circles back to the Mavericks. They made the NBA Finals.
Yeah,
No,
this
I
on this
think
point.
this is
They were the second last team standing in
They
the
were
league.
underwhelming for a finals team. They were underwhelming in these finals, but the path they got there, everything they overcame, especially
basically
for
got swept.
expectations. Gentleman sweep, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you look
They
at
got one.
Did the Lakers, were they successful last year?
Yes.
I just can't agree.
7th seed gets to the WCF.
Got swept.
Yeah, you did get swept, but
It's so tough when you have LeBron because it's like it's championship.
I mean, you play Denver. That's the only team
Or at
I
least
can't
go to
And you
beat.
have Luka Doncic. It's a top
They
3
made the
player in the
finals.
world.
Yeah.
I got you.
But we all collectively said the Lakers had one of the best off seasons last year.
I know.
We all
So
had
every
them
time
in the top
Lakers are
four.
disappointing.
We had
Every-
them in the top four.
This year they're
Failure.
disappointing.
wait, hold on.
Failure.
So that's not the failure and disappointment is not the same thing.
Huh?
A failure and disappointment is not the same thing. Every year LeBron went to the finals and lost, it was a disappointment.
I agree.
2018 Cavaliers versus the Golden State Warriors, Juggernaut
It's
Warriors.
unfortunate. Yes, you
That's a
lost.
disappointment.
I wouldn't call that one a
I know-
disappointment. That's
Again,
great.
you're kind of pigeonholing me here.
Well,
it's a
you know
failure.
it's not a
They
disappointment.
failed.
But it's not
KD Warriors, I
disappointment.
can't look at it as a
KD
failure.
Warriors, that's what it is.
That's just, I mean,
It was a
they got the
failed
best team
season,
ever.
though. You don't win a championship, you failed.
So
Simple.
07 LeBron versus the Spurs.
Not a failure.
Sweep. I mean, no, that was.
No,
That's a
you were
disappointment.
under. You were under. That team was just so. It was literally like
I mean,
this.
every game was baskets. Like the game could have been decided by a basket or two.
These
Almost
finals
every
points
game
per
were
game
close.
discrepancy was pretty close.
Well, you know why.
Celtics. Well, no, Game 4 had a lot to do with it, but
It's a 40-point
over the
game.
course-
Game 1 wasn't close. Game
feel like
5
Boston
was
was up
close.
20
Game
every
1,
time.
Dallas made a late run in that.
The closest they got was 8 points.
Game 2, the game was within a couple
was close.
points.
Game
Close.
seven, 8
Game
points.
3 was close. Game 4 was a smoking. Game 5 was a
So
smoking.
Game 5 was the only game that wasn't close.
Game
but
one
Game
was
one
not
was a
close.
smoking, bro.
Game 2 and Game 3 was close.
Okay, that's what I
So we
said.
said, and Game 4 they beat them handily. So half of the series was close.
Even still, game 2 wasn't really,
that math?
or is
Is
it
that
game
math?
3?
So half of the
No.
series where the Celtics won was close.
Game 2, Boston was still up like
Yeah.
about 6 the entire fourth quarter. Like it never got to a one possession game in game 2. Not saying that's not close.
This wasn't close, man. This wasn't close. It's okay.
No, Dallas had chances to close out games though. They did.
What? Only
Games
game
2 and
2.
3. Games
Yeah,
2
Game
and
3
3.
they had chance to close out the game.
You're right.
Luka fouls
You're right.
out.
You're right.
And then
right,
game
right,
2
right,
they had
right,
a chance too, even though it was a late, crazy, miraculous comeback. But they did make that comeback. It felt like very reminiscent to versus the Clippers. What was it? Game 3, I think.
That was game 4.
Game one.
Game 4. That was game 4.
Wasn't it
Game
game
4.
one?
Game 4. Game 4.
When they came
the Clippers
back,
were up 30 in
game
the first
1,
half.
I thought
that was
Clippers
game 4.
smoked the match.
They
That was
didn't
four.
have a
Like 8
mini
points
comeback.
in
That was
second
4. Yeah,
quarter.
they did. The Mavericks came all the way back, tied the game, even took the lead at one point, and then the Clippers closed it out.
You
That was
know,
4.
it wasn't like that against Boston.
Yeah, that
that
was game
game was
4.
really great. Even though they
that
lost,
shit
that was
was
one of the best
nuts.
games of the season. But yeah, this was the team that people thought wouldn't make the playoffs and made the NBA Finals. It's a pretty easy, it's successful
So,
season.
Dehls, Tatum top 3?
Shit, why not? It's like 50% troll and 50% facts.
Oh, I wanted to know the troll meter on that one.
I mean, come on.
50-50.
All you had to do was read the tweet and understand he wasn't being serious.
What was my tweet?
Top 5 in the NBA right now. Jason Tatum was 3. That was it. That's all you needed to do.
No, I think he had a 4 on the list.
I'm 3.
Yeah,
I'm
three?
Luka 4.
Ah,
Yes.
you're funny. You're
It was
fucking hilarious.
Jokic.
I feel like
it was
if you have
Giannis.
one of the worst defensive performances I've ever seen, I feel
Ever,
like
no
you get
time.
dropped, you know,
Yeah.
from like a dude, you know what I mean, not like a role player.
No, type shit. I get what you mean. Okay.
He was pretty terrible.
No, he was awful. He was awful. It's life though. You gotta bounce
Jokic not
back.
getting dropped. Jokic had a terrible defensive performance too.
3-time
Won a
MVP,
championship.
champion. Yeah,
No, but I'm saying
one of the best
he did
finals.
too.
One of the best postseason.
It wasn't
runs ever.
embarrassing. This I felt like was embarrassing.
They got to throw whenever they wanted. Anthony Edwards finished anything he wanted in that series.
Are you jabbing Joker now?
What do you mean? Joker's great
So why are you
He's the
throwing-
best player. I think he's
How did he
one or
jump into the
two.
conversation?
Because of the defense.
because of the defense. Nikola Jokic was underwhelming this playoffs. Anthony Davis was cooking him in the first round too. We could
was
be honest
also
about.
frying.
He was
AD.
cold.
No, he
He
was.
was
I mean,
underwhelming.
Jokic is going to front on defense. Yes, he was.
I
Absolutely.
mean,
That's
yeah.
what we're talking about.
AD was amazing. That has nothing to do with
This entire playoff run, Luka
Brother,
was not underwhelming on defense. In the finals, he was. I'll give you that.
He
This
was
entire
he was
playoff
in
run, he was
stretches.
good on defense.
He was in stretches.
This entire playoff run, he was good on defense, and even with how underwhelming he was, the Mavericks' defensive rating in the finals was elite. And with him on the court, they were at their best defensively.
Didn't you say when he got fouled out, you felt better?
About them
the
getting
defense?
stops. No, they
Oh,
did.
okay.
Yeah.
That was an insane statement. I could not fucking believe you said that.
Because their defense, no, there was a chance there because they were getting some momentum. And I thought this could have been Kyrie Irving's shining moment. But Luka, this entire playoffs was good on defense. He took major steps forward with just all the eyeballs on the finals and trying to discredit him. The playoff run as a whole, they got here because of their defense. He was a huge player.
Can I ask you a question? If you get a 70 on a test, you're like, damn, I did good.
I think he got an 80 for the entire playoffs on defense. Yeah.
I don't know. When you do the multiple choice, right, like the first couple rounds of the playoffs, that's important. But once you get to the open-ended questions at the end that worth the most, the finals, and you fail those.
He's cooking.
Good analogy.
That's tough.
Fuck it.
That's tough.
Because the finals, he was absolutely the worst we've ever seen from any star.
Yeah, but also Boston, they have the dribblers and the ball handlers to get past any defense.
It was times where he was literally caught sleeping. Like, his defenders just went past him because he's caught sleeping.
Celtics are the only team that could take advantage of him like that.
Okay.
Yeah, they're an all-time great team. That's
an effort thing, bro.
Yeah, and then
What
game
you
4,
took
he
this
did
into
show
account
effort.
before he made his pick. I don't know.
No, but listen, I think for the totality of the playoffs, he took major steps forward about his defense. Yeah. I don't feel worse about his defense
how can you
coming into next season than I did
steps
last year.
forward in the first 3 rounds and then just fall asleep in the finals? I don't understand that.
Because he was taking injections to numb the pain.
He was doing that shit in the third round.
He really better not play for
No, not the
Team
injections.
Slovenia. If
the
he plays for
injections was
Team
the final
Slovenia,
thing.
it really...
Because when he took the charge from Jaylen Brown, I think something in his
game 3?
abdomen.
When he fouled out?
Hurt.
That was game 3.
Charge?
It was game 2. It was in Boston. He took a charge.
He didn't foul out in
or it was
Boston.
after game 1, one of those. But he started taking an injection, like pain shots, so he wouldn't feel the pain.
Wasn't Joel
like,
Embiid
in his
doing the same
abdomen
shit
area.
and putting up 30?
He had Bell's palsy and still gave the Knicks
50
fits.
Oh, yeah. Joel Embiid is
I'm not
player.
really hearing that injection
That's it.
shit, to be honest. I'll be honest.
If he plays in the Olympics, the injury shit is not something I want to hear. I understand you represent your country. It's a once-in-a-lifetime type experience.
It will always be another Olympics.
Not for him. Not for overseas guys. It means much more than USA guys playing for the Olympics. I think.
But you're injured.
You're correct.
Unless you're not.
Yeah. I mean, but also, when do the Olympics start?
You're
Like
not.
middle of July?
They start in July.
Late July?
Yeah.
That shit next month.
They start July 2nd, I think.
That's
first
in a week.
qualifying-
Literally 2 weeks.
The first
I
qualifying.
mean, it is in his defense, it is like a month off of basketball. If it's just a pain tolerance thing, then, I mean, it's not insane.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear it because in the previous round, he was also banged up and was fucking frying.
God.
Yeah, nobody is saying that Luka Doncic gets a pass because of his injury. He underperformed in the finals for his standards. That's a fact. But you also can't be blind and be like, oh, this obviously didn't affect him at all. I mean, two things can be true.
What's our first topic for today?
The first topic is the Lakers hiring JJ Redick to a 4-year deal worth $8 million per season. Now, who do you think is taking the bigger risk here? The Lakers hiring JJ or JJ going to the Lakers?
That's a great
I'll
question.
start with you, Drew.
Who's taking a bigger risk? That's an interesting way to ask that because it depends on how much JJ Redick wants to thrive as a head coach, which I'm sure he wants to be the best that he possibly can be. That's what anyone wants to be in life, especially when you take a job as prestigious as being a head coach in the National Basketball Association. But JJ's going to be all right regardless. Obviously, we understand that we're losing one of the best faces in media by him deciding to take this job. I think that he's fine. I guess that if I had to say, I'd go with the Lakers. The Lakers are taking a gamble here. First-year coach, has no coaching experience outside of now coaching in the NBA. Yeah, the Lakers are taking a chance here on potential, solely on what they believe that he can be. And that's where I would look at this and say that the Lakers are definitely taking the bigger risk. But what I want to talk about really is people's opinion on the Lakers deciding to hire JJ, because people were very vocal about how they believe that we should have brought in another coach with more experience. So go ahead. List me these guys that we should have brought in.
Sam
James
Cassell.
Borrego.
Borrega, right?
That was really
Borrega. Sam Cassell. Only one that I will hear. That is an excellent answer.
You just got a promotion,
There's
too.
no way
Insane.
that you're going to
Throw him the bat.
be serious with me and say, Mark Jackson. Bring me
People
Mark
still saying
Jackson.
him?
No, that's really what's crazy about it, because how many head coaching vacancies have there been since he's been fired as Golden State's head coach? And he has yet to bring in a job. So that's what you're really upset at? No, you gave the job to JJ Redick over Mark Jackson, who hasn't been able to hold the job or hasn't had a job in coaching since 2015. Be serious. Sam Cassell was a great name, Riv. I'm not going to be hard-headed to that. I would have been extremely thrilled with that.
Shit, anybody in Miami's assistant coaching staff.
But again, you take a chance with a guy that obviously can stay in this league, that obviously is big in analytics, knows the modern brand of basketball, and now you're bringing that to the Los Angeles Lakers. That we really do need revitalization, especially on the offensive and defensive side. And I think that he can help us on the offensive front because obviously Darvin didn't know what he was doing in that regard. And when it comes to lineups, I believe that he'll be better than Darvin almost immediately. So to me, this was a fine move, but definitely the Lakers are risking more than JJ is.
Lakers are taking a big risk, but I think JJ Redick is taking the biggest risk. He has a very comfy, lucrative, he works hard at it, don't get me wrong, media job. He's calling games. He's doing interviews. He has his podcast. That's something that right now he can coast by. And the only thing he has to worry about is people on the internet overreacting to takes that he says. But other than that, there's no real pressure for him to perform from kind of like a fan base and media perspective. Taking this Lakers job, he's going to be under the microscope every single day. He's going to get scrutiny if they lose. He's going to get praise if they win. You know, when any coach plays with LeBron, that's the first guy they point to if anything goes wrong either way. I think he's taking the biggest risk, but it's not a bad thing because I think it shows just how much he loves basketball. I've seen people out there say the Pistons are a better job than the Lakers. JJ Redick should have took that or a rebuilding teams. And I'm like, why? You want to win a championship. That's the goal in the NBA. And JJ Redick went to the team that has the two pieces that can bring you a championship. If you surround LeBron and Anthony Davis around a proper personnel, they could bring you a championship.
I'm shocked to hear you say that.
With the Lakers, I mean, LeBron and Anthony Davis, their best two players, has never been a question with them. It's always been the supporting cast and their surrounding parts. They're excellent. LeBron James is a top 10 player still at his best. He looks like still the best player in the world. Anthony Davis took a step forward in these playoffs.
Am I talking?
Anthony Davis was phenomenal.
This is amazing.
So, I've never heard of that.
This is music to my ears. Yeah. Talk nice about Austin Reeves.
This was the best job. Austin Reeves, I think, is going to thrive with JJ.
He's going to be
JJ
awesome.
loves Austin Reeves. D'Lo's probably gone. So Austin Reeves is going to be the full-time point guard.
I'm excited.
And I think that's something you should be excited for. I think JJ was an excellent hire. You look at the former coaches that turned players since 2010, Steve Nash, Steve Kerr, Jason Kidd, Derek Fisher, and Mark Jackson. That's a hit rate of 3 out of 5. I think Mark Jackson was good, Jason Kidd, and Steve Kerr.
Should we throw in Phil Jackson? He was a great player.
Since 2010.
Okay.
Since 2010.
I was ready to get in my bag.
Jason
Doc
Kidd
Rivers.
first success?
First
Or
in,
just
Milwaukee
now?
wasn't great. Was it Milwaukee or Brooklyn
He
first?
developed-
He had a
Brooklyn
great
first, right?
hand in developing.
Milwaukee, he was
Giannis.
cool at. He was cool
And
in
Chris.
Milwaukee. He was cool in Milwaukee.
yeah,
He had MCW.
Because
at
now
point
Kid
guard,
definitely W, but at first it was a little shaky.
I think what it shows is that you need to let these guys grow. JJ Redick's going to be a rookie coach.
Steve Nash
And he let
sent
these guys grow.
player coaches back so much.
He did.
Basically
Steve
saying
Nash was so terrible as a coach, but now that if you're a player, now that you're really under the microscope, they think that you can't do a great job.
But you know what's the thing about Steve Nash is that this is not giving him excuses, but he had a lot to manage as a Nets coach. There was so much drama. If they don't get hurt in 2021, he was the head coach for that team. And Kevin Durant played at his best.
Also, the
Kevin Durant was saving Nash.
buy-in
I'm
of the
tired
team,
of hearing that.
the
I get
buy-in
it,
of
but
that
he's
Nets
right.
team was super questionable.
Kevin
The
Durant did
buy-in
play at his
from
best
their
in
stars
2021
were
playoffs.
questionable.
He's
No, I know.
it's
Saying we don't need to be coached. It's questionable. As a head coach, how do you coach dudes who are saying
Kyrie
that
and
on
his Zen shit,
Instagram Live?
legs folded
I just
up.
wish that Nash would have went to the press and been like, "Yeah, I heard the comments. There's no way around. I am the head coach of this team, right? Just he should have handled that better."
I think you named all those coaches. Every situation is different. And you mentioned Steve Nash, and you mentioned the drama he's walking into. The Los Angeles Lakers are drama, no matter how you put it. The Los Angeles Lakers bring that type of controversy. They bring that type of,
Eyeballs,
that eyeball,
tension.
the type of just light shining.
Pressure's a
Like
privilege.
No, and I'm not saying it is, but it comes with a different type of experience. And I think JJ is like, I was definitely under the camp where I feel like Hurley, if it was gonna be him, or Redick, should go build something else or build their own thing, start small, get a rebuilding team, kind of build up, maybe not the Pistons because there's a shit show over there right now, but build up something that they can say theirs. But I'm not mad at this because, like Drew mentioned, there wasn't too many guys out there that was really right for the job. You kind of want something new, and based off JJ Redick's podcast, he really understands sets, he understands schemes, and he looks like he has a different offensive brain to him that he can bring to the Lakers. I think obviously JJ has the most pressure because I think he has zero experience. You know, you can always fire a coach with ease. You just can't. You're not going to be the GM or the coach that just moves LeBron to AD. You know, that's just not possible. But a coach can get fired like this. They can get scapegoated like this. And I think JJ is either going to set up to be, like you mentioned, Steve Nash, or he can be fucking Steve Kerr. The bar is so here or here. It's pretty insane. If he's Spo, shit. I'm not gonna say that. That's a reach too. But even Spo struggled when he first got to coaching. You know, like he had his moments too. So with JJ, it's just gonna come with patience. You know, he's gonna have his learning curves. You know, but he does have LeBron. He does have AD. You know, a top 3 duo in the league. He does have solid role players in Austin Reeves, Jared Vanderbilt,
Rui.
Rui. So he has a couple things he has to work with. You know, the West is extremely tough. OKC just made the first big move of the summer, I guess, for the West and getting Caruso. We'll talk about that later. Sacramento brought back Malik Monk. We'll also talk about that later. So time to see what the Lakers are going to do. Time to see how JJ Redick's going to build this offensive team. I don't know how I feel about Reeves as a full-time point guard. I guess we'll see. But I'm excited about the move because I'm excited about different things. I like JJ Redick.
Well, he'll split that with LeBron. You know? He's not going to be the full-time.
Yeah, LeBron's
40% usage.
Well, whoever they bring in and shit, you know, because Dehls probably getting traded.
I think
he's unrestricted.
No, he's gonna decline.
Yeah,
he's a player option, right?
He's smart. He just had the best year of his career.
Because it'd be 1 year like $20 million. Now he decline, get 4 years like 80 or something. You know
where? Spurs or something.
Orlando allegedly is definitely a possibility.
That's not crazy.
I don't hate it either.
Just get more.
They have talent guards though.
I think there's pressure. Shooting. There's pressure and risk on both sides, but I also think that just comes naturally with the NBA because. For the Lakers, of course, there's risk hiring JJ Redick, unproven, first time being a head coach. But I also think he was the best candidate available outside of Dan Hurley once he, went back to UConn. So for the Lakers, this was your best chance to get a head coach that I think can actually succeed, that we've spoken about, that has a modern view of the NBA, and just overall just knows where the NBA is going. And for JJ Redick, the podcast is always going to be there. TV is always going to be there. If he flames out in LA in a year, say it goes completely sideways and he's just like, this is not working, the ESPN door is always going to be there. If he wants to go independent, it's going to be there. So it's not like those options all of a sudden become unavailable. And I still think there's a second option for him, just like Jason Kidd had a second option. Steve Nash will wait and see about that. But just because you fail at your first spot doesn't mean that it's over forever. It doesn't mean that you won't turn into a good head coach. But this was the most exciting storyline, in my opinion, this NBA offseason. I said it like a month ago because I don't know if we're going to get any huge superstar trades. The draft isn't crazy this year. Free agency isn't that crazy this year. So this is what I wanted to see. I wanted to see JJ Redick in Los Angeles. I want to see him coaching LeBron. I want to see him coaching Anthony Davis because whether it's a huge success or a huge failure, I think it's just one of the more entertaining storylines of the NBA season this upcoming year. So pressure on both sides, but I think at the end, like, this was the best option for both parties. For the Lakers, you got the best head coach available. For JJ Redick, you got a chance to kind of prove what you've been doing on your podcast, to prove what you've been saying on Mind the Game with LeBron James, going through these different X's and O's and actually
he's so young still,
actually
too.
putting
That's
it on,
crazy.
putting it on the court. Like you saw the there was a clip of LeBron talking about some like side out of bounds play where like the helper when like it's something like that where like the helper helps the screener or helps whatever, and the Boston Celtics did the thing in the finals. That shit was so
I think
cool.
it's funny too because JJ Redick has pretty much played against damn near everybody in the league at this point. Outside of like the young guys, like probably Ant, he probably hasn't played against him and all that. But in terms of like,
he's still so tapped in that like he's watching all these games. He's breaking down
like,
these games.
To be able to watch and then like you've played, like you kind of know some of these guys' tendencies and knows what they like. That shit is nuts. He's damn near a cheat code, bro.
And they said it was Anthony. I know they said LeBron had zero to do with it. Don't believe that for a second. But they said Anthony Davis was like a huge factor as to why they're signing JJ, which I think is important.
Love AD. That's my franchise
JJ
player.
said that he wants to involve AD more late in games, and he wants to involve him more in the offense.
About fucking time.
And
what if we let AD run the point? Fuck it. Let him bring the ball up.
Right. I felt like that was the biggest thing missing in the first round.
He can handle the ball. You forget about his time over in New Orleans.
I actually don't. He used to be my favorite player.
He was tough, man. What I'm hoping to God is that they come in with the mindset. Sorry for interrupting you, by the way. They come in with the mindset of he is our power forward. We are actively trying to bring in a true number 5, so then that way offensively can play a little bit lighter, but then on defense can get back to being that roamer.
I think you need if it's a 5, you need to bring in a shooter because I don't think JJ's gonna want to play with 2 non-shooters.
Lopez is available.
AD not being a shooter
shit.
hurts, but we
money,
saw him
though.
get back to it a little
25.
bit this
If
season.
he could get consistent,
He was a really good mid-range shooter this year. The 3-point shot, he just doesn't take it anymore. He needs
he
to
probably
get back
will with
to doing
if he's gonna play the 5, he probably will.
I don't think he's going to play the 5.
He'll play the 5 in stretches.
Of course, naturally.
But I think JJ is gonna want to play a somewhat 5-out system. That's the kind of the modern NBA.
is modern.
We've been talking
Play
about.
4 out,
I don't
4 out, 1
disagree.
in.
He's best as a 5.
No. He was in best in the world conversations at the 4.
That was him younger though and more athletic.
What year are you talking about specifically?
2020, 2021.
2020, I feel like he split a lot of time at the 5 too, though.
2020 was him, Dwight, Mark.
Who
Or
started
not Mark,
that year?
I'm sorry.
JaVale.
Him, Dwight, JaVale.
Who started that year?
I want to say bits and pieces. Why is it JaVale the guy that I'm thinking of? It might have been Dwight, truthfully. I think Dwight came off the bench. It was probably JaVale.
Because I know in the playoffs they tinkered with like a lot.
in the
of different
playoffs
things.
he'll go back to the 5.
In the playoffs, he started against the Rockets at the 5.
I think when they played the Joker,
Well,
he was
that
the 4.
we had to.
When they played Denver, he was
correct.
at the 4.
Dwight was heavy
Dwight-
in that
Dwight was
series.
So
He
yeah,
was
the starting
playing
lineup was Danny Green, JaVale McGee, LeBron,
was
Anthony
JaVale.
Davis, Avery Bradley, and KCP would split time at that other like 5th
That makes
guy.
sense.
They don't talk about Avery Bradley enough on that.
We
show.
don't need to.
He was amazing on defense.
He was cool.
I felt like that was the biggest thing that plagued
Boston
the Lakers in the playoffs in the first round. I thought Anthony Davis should have been the best player in that series. So all due respect to Nikola Jokic, how Anthony Davis started most of those games, he was dominating. Nobody could stop him. And then in the second half, for some reason, they went into an ISO mode.
Darvin Ham.
And Anthony Davis was not involved at all.
Terrible. Also, at the same time, you see it in Game 3. Like it became a lot more obvious that Denver was just taking AD out of the game. 2, 3 bodies on him. It got to that extreme where you couldn't trust any other guy on the team outside of course, LeBron. But they were really doing the best that they could to at least stop him from getting the basketball or making it difficult for him to get the ball. They executed at a very high rate because obviously they won the series.
They
in
own
5.
you guys, man.
Lakers
That shit
led
crazy.
that series 73% of the time.
It's a punch to the balls.
We know.
That's crazy.
Yeah, we remember vividly.
It's
man.
one of my worst memories.
I don't know what
That's
they
a-
just like. They
that's tough,
like
man.
game winners, blow. Like they just do it to you guys, like in
It's
the
crazy.
craziest ways.
I know. It sucks because we play them well until we don't.
Until it's the 4th, it's like 5 minutes left. It's like, all
Were
right.
you,
JJ
were you
Redick-
happy or upset when the next round they blew a 20-point lead? Were you like, we could have been doing this shit, or you're like,
No,
finally, you get it?
I said if we would have gone past the Nuggets, there was no team we couldn't beat. I had always felt
Even
that
Boston?
way. That's tough. I just think that LeBron going into that series, that's just a different allure. Anthony Davis, that would have been a tough matchup for them. I would have taken the Celtics to win, though.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I
I thought
would've.
you telling.
AD
saying all
probably
that.
would have dominated.
No,
it.
AD would have
AD
dominated.
would have
Great
killed.
series,
AD
yeah.
would have killed. But I don't know if I could trust D'Lo and Reeves on
No,
a
you're
consistent
cooked there,
basis
buddy.
versus Drew,
Yeah.
Derek,
Well, Reeves beat them by himself.
They did.
and D'Lo.
They
Can't forget
did.
that. That shit was a movie. We were at the
That shit
gym
was
when that
crazy.
happened.
He was. At the gym.
But I'm missing my train of
Celtics
thought.
Twitter went crazy
no,
that
but
day.
versus
Oh my
seeing
God.
the Nuggets lose to the Wolves, I was just happy because all Laker fans were rooting for the Wolves. That's just the truth.
I mean, they had a chance to win that series in the first round, despite what it was 4-1, right? At the end of the day,
4-1.
it was 4-1.
Went down 3-0.
They had a chance
Yes.
to win that series. They just didn't execute late in the games.
Low key.
Maybe if JJ Redick's the coach, maybe that changes.
Hopefully,
Well,
just
who
drawing
knows?
up different plays to get AD open. That's really what I want, or at least to get him the
I
ball.
don't know. Jamal just gets like real magic when he plays
He
Lakers.
does.
So
Yeah.
it's
He
like-
gets in a different
And he
mode.
was fucking piss water against Minnesota.
With the Lakers at this point, it's a lot of projecting. Going into next season, whether or not they'll be a contender. But I think OKC just made a move that solidified them as one of the best teams in the league. They were that still after this season. But trading Josh Giddey to get back Alex Caruso, Josh Giddey, who he lost his spot in the rotation in the playoffs, and Alex Caruso now brings a dimension to them that adds more to what they already do. They're number 2 in the league in forcing turnovers, and now you bring on a pest like Caruso, who's going to get in your face. He's an elite screen navigator. He's going to get a lot of deflections. He's a great shot blocker for his position, and he adds size. Dort is thicker, but Alex Caruso is taller. And I think just having those two defenders,
Or said thicker.
it's gonna
Which one
make.
you like more?
I like Caruso.
You like the taller one.
I like
Okay,
Caruso.
you don't like thick.
I thought you were gonna go for the thick boy.
I like Caruso. Caruso is just an excellent pickup. 82 passes stolen this past season, most per minute last season. He's truly elite, an elite level role player. And this now adds one need to them. I don't think OKC is done yet.
No.
This is one of those needs that now, I mean, if you have a lineup of SGA, Caruso, Dort, Jalen Williams, and Chet, man, Dallas if they face them again in the playoffs, it's going to be hard to get past them.
It's a small lineup.
Yeah, but it's the guard defender, 6'5", Caruso against Kyrie. Dort played the best defense of anybody in the playoffs against Luka.
Agreed.
The Thunder just shot average in the
They
second
did.
round.
They
They
were
could have
so
very well
tight.
beat the Dallas.
And
Mavericks.
if PJ Washington didn't turn into a god,
He was
for a couple
also
games.
when
And Dallas
Caleb
came back,
Martin
what, game 5? Dallas made the miraculous comeback game 5, and they beat them. Yeah, OKC, they got their learning experience, but this was an excellent pickup. I think, to me, it's hard for me to say they're not going to be the best team in the West, quite frankly.
Welcome.
Because off of this move, but off of just the moves that I know Sam Presti can make, when you see what Boston has, I know that OKC is a younger and more immature version of Boston, but seeing the talent that Sam Presti can still add to this team, I think any trade is on the table. That includes getting a star, maybe like Kevin Durant, where now you didn't give up a pick for Giddey. You could just throw the bank at Phoenix. I think this was a great get, and we'll talk about the Bulls a little later, but I want to know your thoughts about OKC.
It's going to be interesting to see if this is the best or most impactful move made by a team this offseason. And I want that to be solely put on Alex Caruso and respecting his name and his game. This is one of the league's best defenders, especially on the perimeter. His switchability also for his size, for his position, is very rare. It's him and Drew Holiday. That's really the level that I would put him at. Also, add to the fact that he can handle the basketball.
Add Bam Adebayo to the list, please.
Okay, fair. Should we talk about? Should I say Nick Claxton? Like, do you want me to do that? Right?
No,
Okay.
just add Bam to the list.
But Bam's big. I'm just talking guards. That's all I'm doing. Talking guards.
I heard switchability.
All good.
Just
all
wanted
good.
you
Of
to,
course,
you know
Bam
what I'm
is
saying?
there.
That's
Of course,
that's
we
my
understand.
dog. I like
Oh,
to just,
bro, did you hear that Dereck Lively can be Bam Adebayo on defense?
Who the fuck said that?
Someone said that. How nuts is that?
Don't tell me you said that.
That's not nuts.
No.
You telling me Dereck Lively at his best can't be a DPOY player?
No, he said he could be Bam. Forget about just on defense. He said he could be Bam.
Bam is what? A DPOY?
No,
call
his-
somebody a
Bam's
DPOY
averaging
level
20.
player.
He's
what are
averaging
you talking
20
about?
like 5 assists.
We talking about defense, though.
No.
No, you said the
Bam.
player.
I mean, you started with defense.
That's why I just fixed myself.
Your comp was the player.
No, I think
Player to
Dereck
players.
Lively could be an all-star level center in this league, 100%.
He can be a
think he
much
can.
better Clint Capella.
I don't think it's gonna. He's already Clint Capella.
He's already
He's better-
Clint,
he's
and
already
he can-
better than
his-
Clint
He's
Capella.
going to be a much better Clint
we talking
Capella.
about Clint is
No,
prime?
at
He's probably
peak,
better than-
peak
Oh,
Clint.
okay.
Is peak?
Because I'm not saying right now. I'm
Right now.
talking peak. I'm respecting.
I'll be honest.
Yeah.
That's disrespectful to Bam Adebayo.
No, I just think that's just a respect to Bam and a testament to what Dereck Lively could be.
To just say a rookie can just be what he is defensively. Bam is has been one of the 3 best defenders in the world for like the last 5-6 years. He is probably the most complete defender in the league.
And Dereck Lively
Can be the most complete defender in the league.
Dereck Lively at 19 years old.
Bro, so
How many centers were better than him defensively?
How many centers are better than Bam?
I know. I mean, of course, Bam is a better player than Dereck Lively right now.
I'm
Bro. It's
talking
not
about
an argument.
So can Lively be a complete defender?
Yes, I think he can. Does he already not show flashes of switchability? All right. At a high level?
Bam's just the absolute highest level S tier.
That's
Yeah.
like
in terms of
he's
defender
literally
for a
like
big.
an
Bam is
S-tier
also the
defender.
size of a forward. He's 6'9".
But he doesn't play like he's 6'9".
The hell?
No, I know, but it's easier for you to move laterally and guard forwards when you're smaller.
No, I don't disagree, but that also doesn't take away from what Bam's been doing.
you're
it's not like he's 6'9",
he
so
can
now he
protect
can't
the
I'm
guard
not
the way.
taking.
go
I'm
on.
not taking that away from Bam. Bam should be the most switchable big in the league.
What the what?
He
what are we
should
doing?
be.
What do you mean he should?
Should
be?
anyone be the absolute best at anything?
That's
no,
a
it's
fact.
just you're doing it because you're great at it.
No, of course, I'm not
Dereck
minimizing what
Lively
Bam
is
is
probably
doing.
just as athletic.
Should
He's
Steph
probably
Curry
like
be
2
the best
inches
shooter
taller.
of all time because he's 6'3"? No, it's because he's Steph Curry.
But you're
He's
not.
just special.
You're not asking Rudy Gobert to do what Bam does.
But sometimes they do.
Sometimes
Shit, he
teams
did it
force
against-
him to do that. He doesn't want to do that. They just force him to do
But
that.
then when he does it poorly, they criticize him.
He does it at a good level, though. I think that's the point. But he's 7'1". He shouldn't be moving laterally as great as Bam at 6'9". But you give and take because Gobert's a better rim protector than Bam Adebayo. Why do you think people Miami Heat fans specifically have been asking for the Heat to get a true 5? Because they want to add size to the front court because Bam is a smaller center. That's not a knock on him. That's just a reality.
They just want to help him.
He should be more. He should.
Really what it is. That's the
They
same
just
thing with
wanna
the
help him.
Lakers.
He should be more switchable than somebody taller than him.
I mean, I guess, bro. Like,
But that's the whole point. But Dereck Lively at
I don't know
7
what that
foot
means.
he's mobile and he's switchable. He is.
It's just
be
Bam is
Bam.
the pinnacle of like switchability.
Of course.
Just to say that after somebody's rookie year, I don't know. I think that's
Caruso,
a little strong stretch.
I mean, Dereck
OKC.
Lively was the Mavericks' third best player
At times.
in the
It's PJ
playoffs.
Washington a lot
At
of
times is right.
At times.
At times, yeah, that all changed. But
First
you
two
look-
series, undoubtedly PJ Washington.
You look at the on and off numbers with Dereck Lively, specifically on defense. I mean, bro, you think it's crazy to say he has DPOY potential?
It's the difference between DPOY potential and Bam Adebayo defense. Bam doesn't even have
I'll
a
be
defensive
honest.
player of the year.
No,
Bam Adebayo.
Dereck Lively does not have DPOY potential, and
You
that's
don't think he
solely
does?
respecting Victor Wembanyama. Like, I honestly don't know a player that's going to win the award for a while.
Well, is he ever going to finish in the top 3?
Won't even cap. Like, Jaren Jackson just won the award.
Yeah, that's
he's
what-
not a better defender than Bam.
Nope.
Like,
Fair.
he's
That's a
not
good
even.
point.
He's not a better defender.
So I guess the
Rudy
answer is
Gobert
yes.
is, though.
Rudy Gobert, huh?
He's a better defender than Bam.
He's more impactful. Yeah.
Is Anthony Davis a better defender than Bam?
Yes.
I still would say yes, personally. But I understand if you, because Bam's
It's a
switchability
conversation.
is
It's a
nuts. But
conversation.
AD's switchability is pretty
It's a
good.
conversation.
But
Like,
I didn't say he was winning the award. I said he's going to be that caliber of player. I think Dereck Lively could be one of the 5 best
Just
defenders on the
defenders
planet.
You could, he's an all NBA level defender.
Yes,
he can be.
100%.
All NBA is fair.
100
Yeah.
and I think he can have a similar impact to the Mavs that
Got you.
Bam has on the Heat, where they need that big man, and Dereck Lively could be
I
that
don't
for
think.
them.
I don't know. Like, Bam does everything for the Heat defensively.
But also
everything.
offensively. It's not just defense, because again, the statement was originated from he can be a Bam type player. He has
Bam
to get
is the playmaker. He
correct.
has to be the scorer. Now he has to switch out guard 1 through 5. He has to protect the rim.
I
He
think
has to protect
the
the
gap
pick and
is
roll.
bigger offensively than defensively.
It is.
I think the gap is the same.
No, the gap is bigger
No,
offensively.
defensively, there's still a gap for sure, but offensively, Dereck Lively, all he can do
Dereck
right now
Lively
is dunk.
is probably going to be a better rim protector.
He can
for sure.
pass out the short
He's a
roll,
good
too.
passer.
He's a good
Yes,
decision
he's a
maker.
fine passer,
Yeah.
but he has a long way to go as a playmaker, as a mid-range scorer. He's got the
Bam
three-point shot
runs the
potential,
offense, honestly.
but yeah, offensively, there's a huge gap.
And I
between
like
what the two
Dereck
do.
Lively. I really do. I genuinely do.
Well,
like
I think the
Dereck
point
Lively.
is, I'm not saying that I think their games are going to be similar. I'm saying that I think he's just that caliber of player.
I just
Bam
don't know if he's ever going to
Adebayo,
average 20.
Bam Adebayo is what, a top 25 player
sure.
Yeah,
in the
100%,
world?
yeah.
I think Dereck Lively at 25 could be that impactful to a team where he's one of the 25 best players.
Is
in the
Rudy
league.
Gobert a top 25 player in the
Easily,
world?
easily. Off of his impact, yes. Yeah.
Is Rudy better than Bam
As a player, no.
as a player?
No. Is
Is Rudy
the
top
offensive
25?
gap is
There's
nuts.
so many good players in the league. I don't think he's
I don't know.
top 25.
I don't know if he's top 25.
Like Bam, there's a chance. Is Bam
Did
top
Dereck
25?
Lively
You
look
really
good in
think about
switches in the series, or am I bugging?
I thought he looked really good.
He had some good moments against Tatum for sure, but Tatum was getting locked up.
He looked all right.
I thought he was trying to cover up for a lot of things on defense in this series.
You see how he
his
tries
other
to do that?
opponents.
Bam does that every time he plays against
Oh,
Boston.
but the Mavericks defense, they were elite in this series. Though.
I mean, Bam Adebayo was on the court with Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson at times.
He's on the court with Kyrie and Luka a lot.
Kyrie's a better defender than both those two guys I just named.
I think Rudy and Bam is a conversation. It just depends about your team.
I don't think
Bam
it's a
Adebayo is a 34% mid-range shooter. He takes the shot and he can make them, but he's not an efficient mid-range shooter.
Bro said that like Rudy's an efficient offensive player.
I'm not talking about Rudy.
No, you
I'm
just said it's a
I'm-
conversation.
But he just mentioned
Oh,
Bam's a
pardon
good
me,
mid-range shooter.
pardon
That's what I'm addressing.
He can. Did I?
What was
He
the
can
year
hit it
before?
occasionally.
I said it.
What was the year before? I feel like the way he takes him, you would think.
It's that.
No, I
it's that
understand.
free throw
Elbow, yeah.
elbow shot.
No, he has moments where it looks really good. On jump shots, he shot 35% this past season, and I'm gonna go to last year. Last year, he shot 46.6% on
There
jump
it is.
shots.
Yeah.
It's just a bad year.
He regressed a lot this
Yeah.
past
Jimmy
season.
Butler didn't play. He had to do a lot.
He did.
Yeah,
Let me look at the year before.
Yeah,
Just
Bam and
curious.
Rudy isn't a conversation though.
I would take Bam.
Yeah, I would
Bam
take
is a better player. If we're talking defense, conversation. If you put Rudy, I'm not mad at you. But
Is
as
Pascal
a player,
Siakam a top 25 level player?
No.
You
It's
don't
like
think
top
so?
30.
He's
Top 30.
might be
Top
right
30,
outside of it.
35.
Because I think I'd rather have Gobert than Pascal.
I would rather have Gobert than Pascal.
Yeah.
I don't hate that.
Okay. Let me just. Can you guys count? This turned into a whole different conversation. Okay. Just count. I'm gonna name some names quickly.
Okay.
Embiid, Jokic, Giannis,
Okay. Come on. Can we slow it down?
SGA. That's 4 right now.
I'm
So
here.
his fingers doesn't go that fast.
Luka, Anthony Davis,
Mm-hmm.
LeBron James, Jalen Brunson, Tyrese Halliburton. Is Kristaps Porzingis better than him?
You didn't name Steph.
No, I didn't. I'm just looking at PER.
Oh,
top
we're
to
doing Bam right now. Sorry, or Gobert.
Gobert.
I'd probably take Porzingis. I'm also biased.
Do you want to save that for later?
I'm gonna be honest. I think I would rather KP
I
also.
think I'll take Rudy.
No,
You guys are big. Availability is the best ability, guys.
you're cooking.
More than fair.
You're cooking.
You guys are
You
big
cooked.
on that.
You cooked.
So I feel like we have to take Rudy here.
I think it's kind of like a 50-50.
We don't.
But
have to.
top
You can.
20
No, you don't have to.
Riv,
But
top 25 players.
KP's in the top 25 player
Oh,
regardless.
no. I agree, but just in terms of
Gobert champion.
I'm not a Gobert guy.
we gotta, but
He's
top
a Hall
25
of
usually
Famer.
goes off talent. That's right. Just when you list the best player, you go off talent.
You can't. No, you don't do it like that. You don't.
We have so many names we haven't even said. Let's
Agreed.
wait on
All
KP.
right. I'm
Let's
fine with
wait
that.
on
Okay.
KP.
All right.
Yeah.
So we're still
KP
at
was a
9.
wild name to start off the
It was,
beginning with.
but it was a good
It's the
conversation.
PER list right now.
Get off this PR.
They got fucking.
I know. Just go to
Sabonis
points
12.
per game or some shit.
Yeah.
I'm
Kawhi.
we're not.
They have Drummond at 14.
I
Can we
would
get a
rather
different list?
Kawhi.
No, of course I'm not going to say
Is
Drummond.
he really?
I'm not going to say Drummond.
Drummond was mad good with y'all.
Kawhi Leonard.
I'm taking Kawhi.
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 Yeah.
DeMontis Sabonis.
I'm taking Sabonis.
Taking
Over Rudy?
Gobert. I'm taking
taking
Gobert.
Rudy.
I'm taking Gobert.
I'm taking Rudy.
I get it.
I'm taking
I get
Rudy.
it.
Rudy's
I'm
just more
probably taking
impactful.
Rudy.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Sabonis is nice.
Defense matters more than offense.
For a center?
Doing
Low key.
He
Sabonis
is the
is-
offense.
Sabonis'
He is
offense
the
is
offense.
His defense is bad.
It's bad. He also can't shoot, sadly.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
really
If he
His
could
offense
shoot, if
is-
he could have shot,
Yeah,
I would
all
take
right.
Sabonis.
All right. We're still at 11.
Damn near
I believe.
Porzingis would have, you know what I'm
Still,
saying?
we haven't said Steph. We haven't said Tatum.
The PER is low. All right,
haven't
hold on.
said-
Let him go.
okay.
Don't fuck me up.
Victor Wembanyama.
Yes.
Vic.
Crying, yes, though.
Yeah. Zion.
Yes.
Zion. You still count
This is
it?
more of a
the best
conversation.
Availability
No,
is the
Zion's-
best.
Zion's
We
better.
skipped right over Kawhi. Didn't say anything.
We didn't say anything.
Why
Because
the
you
fuck
love
didn't
him.
we? No, I didn't say
'Cause you
anything.
want him.
You said
No,
I'm
because
taking
I'm still
Kawhi.
taking
Yes,
Kawhi.
I didn't say Kawhi.
I'm still taking Zion.
But I also was taking KP.
I was also taking KP.
We're at 13.
I'm going with Zion.
Yes.
I'm going with
Don't think about it too hard.
You guys are being funny.
You said Kawhi, no hezzy.
I didn't say Kawhi.
All right, Kawhi or Rudy.
Ah!
Come on, next name. We're
You
at
guys are
13.
you two are being funny. That's all I'm saying.
Kawhi or Rudy.
You guys
We're
say
not-
best.
When did I
funny.
take? When did I take another player over Gobert because of
No.
availability?
When I was watching the last episode, you guys picked. You guys were picking. You guys are big advocates
JB
of best ability.
We did
best
JB versus
availability.
who? Zion?
I think it was. It might have been Kawhi.
Uh-huh.
And you guys were like, he's available. If he's available, I'm taking him. Be consistent is
But
all
Jalen
I'm
Brown
asking.
and Gobert are also on a different level, in my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah, and Kawhi and Rudy are on a different fucking level.
We can keep going with the list
Okay,
because
I'm saying, be
Kawhi
consistent here.
and Zion are on the list.
Yes, that's 13.
We
We're at
overrided
13.
Riv. It was
Yes.
3-1.
All right.
Jason Tatum,
Yes, 14.
Yes. That's
Donovan Mitchell,
15.
Yes.
Jimmy Butler,
16.
Yes.
Kyrie Irving.
17.
Okay.
I'm taking
This
Kyrie.
is
I'm taking Kyrie.
That's a
17.
thought.
This is a
we
thought,
moving
yeah.
too fast.
17.
Because I think
Don't think too
the
hard.
team, it really depends on the team.
It's because
man.
we hate Rudy's offense, and I get it. It's so fucking
It's
bad.
horrible.
If
But
you're
that
okay,
And
defense-
Kyrie is not a cone.
Kyrie's offense versus Rudy's defense. What's more impactful? I'm cooking here.
You cook. But offense,
Rudy's defense.
yes, but offense matters more.
Yeah, but Rudy is anchoring a defense. Kyrie
brother
is playing
anchors.
second fiddle
He's
on offense.
anchoring a defense with other amazing
He's
defenders
anchored
on
a
his
great
team.
defense when they didn't have that. He's done
Agreed.
that before.
With the Jazz, I'm
He's
not
shown
gonna,
you he can
agreed.
do it.
I'm
No matter
not
who's
gonna
on the
J-
court.
J-Mac-
But Jaden McDaniels, Anthony Edwards.
Anthony Edwards
helps
got
them.
exposed off ball.
Rudy helps them more than Rudy
Luka.
helps them more than they help him.
No,
Agreed.
that's facts. That's facts.
He helps
But
them
Jaden
way more.
McDaniels is still an All-NBA defender.
Who also struggled against Luka.
But it's Luka.
What number are we on?
Jalen Brown.
We're at
Luke
17.
struggled.
Okay, we'll say
Luke
Kyrie.
low-key lock Luka. I'm just saying.
Devin Booker.
Devin Booker.
18. Wait, I counted Kyrie. We're not counting Kyrie?
No, you counted Kyrie. That's
Okay,
fine.
all right, so we're at 18.
Yeah. Laurie Markkinen.
I'm taking Rudy. What the fuck are we doing? And I love Laurie. We're come on.
Laurie is dumb nice.
He is nice.
So is Rudy.
Rudy's fucking
Dumb nice at defense.
defense is important.
It is.
What are we doing?
That's why the Timberwolves win the conference
The
finals.
Timberwolves make it solely off defense.
That's not true. No,
Their
no, no,
offense
no.
is come on.
Anthony Edwards was a huge part of that also.
But their defense.
What was their
stopped the
offensive ranking this year?
Nuggets.
It wasn't
Number
good.
one.
It was,
Number
No,
it
no,
was
offense.
average.
He said
No,
offense.
offense.
It was
What
average.
was the
17,
defense?
yeah.
Tell me what the
It
defense
was
was.
one.
Number one.
It was
What
one.
are we doing?
All
They were
right,
top
all
two
right,
seed
all right.
I'll take
all right,
Rudy.
All right.
Probably take
All right,
Rudy.
fine, Rudy.
And I love Laurie,
Laurie's amazing.
but I'm taking Rudy.
Laurie,
Kevin Durant.
let me ask you a
Kevin
question.
Kevin Durant.
Does every single team in the league want Rudy Gobert?
No.
No.
Does every single team
He's
want
more
a Laurie?
pluggable, yes.
That's
Laurie is more
kind of
pluggable.
my thought process
Laurie's
also.
more pluggable.
I think
But does
Laurie-
every team? But does if you plot Rudy on the teams that need him, I feel like his impact will be more felt than Lauri's impact.
I understand.
What
the
is
point.
Lauri on a winning team?
Probably a third guy.
Is he not like an 18-point per game guy?
I don't
be a
know.
20-point
I
per
don't
game
know
guy.
that for the fact if he doesn't dribble the basketball on the Utah
I know,
Jazz,
but like if he goes to OKC,
and he still averages.
yeah, but he doesn't dribble, but they run plays for him.
rightfully so though, he's a bucket.
But if
is
he goes
a
to another
fucking
team, if he goes to OKC, what is he averaging?
22.
You think so?
I mean, if J-Dub makes the leap, it's like a
I think
it's like
18
a 30,
to 20.
22,
I
I think
20 to 20
Chet
valid.
takes the biggest dip offensively. I think J-Dub, obviously, it's
It'll
imperative.
be
that
30, 20, 20.
which is fine. I said 22. If you think 20, I'm not
20.
going to be too upset about it. He still will average 20 points.
What's the next name?
All right, I did not count Lauri. We're at 18.
Okay.
Even though Lauri is a good conversation.
LaMelo Ball.
We don't.
This
Rudy.
one's, yeah,
We'll go Rudy.
I'm fine with that because
Rudy for right
LaMelo's
now,
not
yeah.
healthy. See, look, don't say I'm moving funny.
It's
Because
about
I love
fucking
LaMelo.
LaMelo, he's on a shit team. So
Yes,
like,
but when he's on the court, that
he's cool.
Steph Curry.
19.
Apparently, according to that Hoops Central,
16?
Rudy's better.
Yeah, I saw that shit.
Where'd they have stuff?
16?
16.
Yeah.
Rudy was 15.
Tough. Love it here.
Jamal Murray.
Rudy.
No.
That's really close.
It is
That is close. I'm gonna take.
If you're
Rudy
going
out.
off base this Jamal Murray we just got in these playoffs, I get taking Rudy. If we said this after last year, we're all taking Jamal.
Rudy,
Every single person's taking
I'm taking Jamal. I'm taking
which Jamal are you taking? The playoff Jamal or the regular season Jamal?
If we're
That's
taking
the
Jamal,
problem.
we're not taking Kyrie.
Oh, he did take
No,
Kyrie.
he took
I
Kyrie.
took
Oh,
Kyrie.
okay.
Yeah, we gave him Kyrie.
I'm taking Jamal, bro.
I'll take Jamal.
I'm taking Jamal.
I think what he
I'm taking-
showed
I'm
as a
taking
number
Rudy,
2
but
on a
I'm getting
championship
outweighed here,
team,
so
I would
we'll
take
take
Jamal.
20.
Trey Young.
21.
This is like the opposite of two worlds. De'Aaron Fox.
22.
Fox.
22.
What the?
22.
We're moving too fast here. That's not a conversation.
It was 2 seasons in a row.
It's a conversation.
That's a
definitely
conversation.
All of
That's
these
all
dudes
I'm
are a
asking
conversation.
for.
All these dudes are
these
conversation.
All of them.
All of them not. I'm not gonna say that.
Jamal Murray, I think, is still a
He's a
conversation.
conversation
Tyrese,
for sure.
all these guards, at least.
Yeah,
That's
that's
maybe
all
Trey
I'm
Young.
saying.
De'Aaron Fox was amazing. Well, let me not say amazing. There was a stretch where he was kind of bad, but then got back to being amazing again.
I'm sorry.
Developed a three-point shot again.
Rudy just went out there, angered the best defense, went into the first round on switches, locked up Kevin Durant and Devin Booker when he had opportunities to do it. Outside of Dallas, he played pretty well this playoffs.
You know what's crazy? This is why I wasn't going to bring up the Rudy segment, because I knew this was going to go off in a 30-minute
Did
tangent.
Rudy play well against the Nuggets overly?
He played all right. He was good.
He had games.
And he had moments where I'm watching,
sure.
I'm like,
Ant-Man.
this is the
Ant-Man
worst.
had games where he was shit
I
dog,
don't disagree.
He was the best player for them, though.
Easily.
but he still had games. Rudy was
But Rudy, there was a lot of moments. Like offensively, he was fringe unplayable.
offensively-
First of all, I'm not even
Which
talking about
is so
offense.
bad.
Offensively,
It's
he's always
so bad.
unplayable.
He's unplayable.
He can't even catch
First of all,
alley-oops.
Rudy is not unplayable.
on offense.
You have to play him.
Exactly. You're
'Cause
forced
if they-
to. But the
because when
brother
he's
has
off the court, their
butterfingers.
defense isn't as good.
He can't catch the ball.
No, but he's not unplayable on offense, so let's chill on that. He's not.
We have to relax. When Rudy's off the court, their defense is bad.
If he's not a lob threat, he's useless.
He's barely a lob threat, too.
And agreed. He's useless on offense.
He gets a lot of offensive rebounds.
Was Jamal Murray not shit against Minnesota?
He was terrible.
Shit. He had moments of being bad.
What?
Would you say Jamal
overall, he was
Rudy
pretty
gets the
damn bad.
unplayable,
Overall,
but
he was
Jamal
pretty
gets
damn
the he
bad.
has
He was.
moments.
You think Rudy
Because
or
when he
Jamal?
played good,
Jamal,
they won.
but Jamal,
When he
Rudy's
played good, they
always been like
won.
unplayable offensively.
Who's better in that series, Rudy or Jamal? And
That's
don't lie
fucking
here.
close.
Oh my god,
It's close.
They
Are we
both
serious?
weren't at their best.
It is
in my
close.
opinion.
They both were not at
Rudy
their
was
best.
better this playoffs.
It's I probably
at least Jamal has the excuse he was
I probably
hurt.
leaned Rudy.
oh,
At
probably
least he
lean
has the
Rudy.
excuse that they were hurt. Because
Wow.
even if it's a fucking conversation, what do you mean? It was a very
wow.
what?
But Luka's injury wasn't.
Wow, now we're playing the injury bug.
I always.
You're right there with me laughing at Halliburton, for sure. And then on top of that with Luka.
What do you mean? Jamal was hurt against the Lakers, and he balled. He was hurt against Minnesota. Was pretty bad because out of respect for Minnesota's defense too. But when he played well, they won.
Cool.
Jamal.
When Rudy played well, they won.
I think
No.
if Jamal just played to his
No.
average, though,
Did-
they win that series.
Did Rudy play well in Game 7 versus the Minnesota versus the Nuggets? No.
I mean,
He
defensively,
didn't, and it
played all
came
right.
He
back
wasn't
for
the biggest
20.
reason.
He definitely wasn't.
Nah,
And didn't play that great in Game 7 either.
he did not.
What the fuck are we doing?
Jaden McDaniel saved both their legacies.
Cat was what the Cat played good
Cat
that too.
Cat
was
best.
It was really
so what are we
Cat.
doing
It was
here?
really Cat.
And who choked?
This ain't about Anthony Edwards and Gobert though.
Well,
No, because we
Jokic
keep
went 2 for
because
10.
We keep putting the shine on Rudy when he has a shit moment, but other guys were shitty too.
They did blow a 20-point lead.
They did.
The whole team, yeah. That's
But
not
Jamal
one
Murray
person.
was hurt though.
He was he was legitimately hurt.
No, I know. So was Luka though.
You see how we get him, right?
You can't buy one and not the other, Drew. You got to do both. I'm sorry,
bro. That's
if
why
you're
you
out
never brought
there,
it up.
you're playing.
You
I
should have
thought
never
the
brought it
injury
up.
had something to do with it, but the defense
If
that he
Luka-
was facing, he was in hell.
Hear me out. If Luka plays for Team Slovenia, I need apologies from everyone.
That doesn't mean he's not hurt.
I
though.
don't care.
He's
don't bring up
If he
injury.
misses,
Don't matter, bro.
I'll be your first one here to
The
say, yo, my
Slovenia
bad, he
shit
was
does
good.
not matter to
What
me.
do you mean? If he
Luka-
plays,
He
That
said
brother-
he'd have a month off.
That brother might play regardless. He
would
might
have
play
a
over-
month
a
off.
month off in the grand scheme of things is still not a lot of time.
A month off
Luka-
is for an injury that's kind of nagging, just a pain tolerance thing.
He
Feels
took
like
it
it
deep
means
because
a
now
lot.
because it got
Case.
worse in the finals.
Yes.
It did.
It got worse in the
It's a-
I
finals.
thought
It's
they said it
actually-
was a pain tolerance.
You gotta
allegedly,
inject.
it's a
That's
bad
what it
injury.
is.
Yeah,
I thought that's what it was.
No,
But he had multiple injuries. He had the knee injury,
Yes.
the knee sprain. He
He had
had
the
the
shoulder,
ankle
right?
injury,
And the
and then
abdominal
he had the
injury.
abdominal
But he
injury
had the shoulder
that he was
injury,
taking shots for.
I don't care about the injury because the previous series he was hurt and hooping and no one made that excuse. So you can't all of a sudden a
here's
week
also the
later
thing
just be
versus the
fine.
Lakers.
You can't make
He-
an excuse for a good performance though.
was Jamal
nobody's
great
gonna say,
against the
"Damn,
Lakers?
I
He's
get
not
it,
good."
but still,
wasn't.
like if
He
he was
wasn't.
playing
Alright.
at that level,
But Rudy was
Here's my
sensational
argument.
against Phoenix.
He was unbelievable.
Okay, right here.
Here's my
Everybody
argument.
was.
the Phoenix also sucks.
My argument for
told
Jamal,
you that.
Jamal was not great against the Lakers.
He wasn't.
He wasn't.
No.
He had two
Yeah.
amazing shots and was really good down the stretch of games. Overall, did not play great against Minnesota. Again, I'll give it to you. If you want to say he didn't play good, he played
didn't.
bad. I think bad's a stretch.
He
'cause
definitely
again,
underperformed.
for his standards.
He
No
underperformed.
doubt.
I think what we're saying is it's not a lock. He's top. He's better than Rudy, so we won't.
But he was actually injured. Like
Okay.
he was.
That's all I'm
Yeah.
asking.
So
for.
let's
I'm
do
asking
the
for-
next
We're
thing.
still
That's
at
the next
23.
thing.
We're at 20. We're at
Wait,
20.
So wait, no Jamal.
No Jamal.
No
All right,
Jamal.
so we're at 22.
Okay.
We haven't said Jalen
Wait,
Brown.
Darren Fox
I know, I
also.
know. They're
We said Darren Fox. or
That's a
we said-
maybe.
Okay, take him off.
Take him off,
Look,
please.
so far,
I want,
need
just,
some.
I want,
I gave you a few.
want
All right.
solidified dudes.
All right, 21.
Thank you. Yeah,
We're
I
at
gave you a
21.
few
so
of them.
Jamal Murray and De'Aaron Fox aren't
We took
solidified.
them.
We'll take them off.
So are we
Okay.
taking Kyrie Irving off?
Kyrie
We
Irving.
can keep
Jeff.
him. We can keep him. We can keep him. You gave me two. I'll
All
give
right.
you two. So we can keep him.
That's fair. Chet Holmgren.
No,
No.
not yet.
No.
Not yet.
No.
Okay.
You can add Jalen Brown. You can add him already to the list.
Yes,
add
that's a
Jalen
lot.
Brown.
Who would you rather
What the
on your team?
No, not
Who would
yet.
you
No,
rather on
not
your
yet. No,
team?
not yet. No, not
Let's just keep
yet.
going. We got
Chad
more
also
names. We got
shot
more.
like shit in that
Stop.
series.
right.
Mr. Stretch 5
right.
was ass from the three. So stop.
Game 6, he was good.
Congrats. They
What's the
lost.
biggest game of the season for
They
them?
lost.
They blew the lead.
They lost. They lost.
Mickey
Sorry.
Mouse foul. Okay, we're at 22 still.
Jalen Brown.
Wait, that's who
We
it was.
added the 20.
You could add Anthony Edwards in there too.
Right.
Yes.
Did you even say Anthony Davis already, or that's been said?
He said that.
I said
Okay.
that. Bam Adebayo.
Who'd you say? Anthony Edwards? You say?
No,
also
I would
add?
take Bam.
Yeah, Bam's better.
Bam. So we're at 25.
Yes.
No, we're at 24 because you
24.
added Anthony Edwards in, I believe.
No, I didn't. We're at 25.
Okay.
Anthony Edwards was 23.
No, it was. So
JB was 22.
apologize. 24.
Did you say Brunson?
Yes, he
I
did.
did say
Okay,
Brunson.
just to make sure.
Tyrese Maxey.
I would take Maxey.
That's a conversation. That's not a lock.
If you take
And I love-
Maxey, we take Fox.
I
no
just said that's
questions
not a lock.
asked.
I just said that's not a
I
lock.
would take Maxey.
If you're taking
I would
Maxey,
take
you
Maxey.
take Fox.
But I think it's a conversation. He's not a lock. And I love Maxey.
We can move forward.
And I adore
all the
Maxey.
players that I have in the conversations here, we'll revisit it back later. Pascal Siakam.
It's a conversation.
That is
It's not locked.
straight up.
It's not
Who
locked.
is
So
better?
next name.
Alex Caruso, Rudy Gobert.
What the?
Straight up.
I'm done.
Straight up.
He's
It's
being
Rudy Gobert.
disrespectful.
Why?
He's being disrespectful.
It's Rudy.
Why?
Rudy, what do you mean?
This guy on defense is as good as any player in the league.
No, Rudy's pretty much.
He's
bro.
as good as any defender in the league. And
not true.
offensively, it's
Next
not
name.
even close.
Brother's asking about Alex Caruso. Next name, please.
So Pascal Siakam, we're gonna put that
Maybe.
in the questionable.
That's a maybe.
Paul George.
Maybe.
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 Yeah. I want more definites. We could get back to these. I want more.
I was
definites.
getting ready to. No, he played like shit. I can't keep defending him. He played like shit. What did you want me to do? I was getting ready to say yeah. If you see my face, I was about to say.
No way.
Maybe.
Damian Lillard.
Dame.
I would take Dame.
Oh, okay.
I'm still taking Dame.
Draymond Green.
That's a maybe.
I-
It's a maybe. I don't want to take if I'm getting Draymond clean soul.
Clean mind. Clean mind, Draymond.
Yeah,
Draymond
clean
was
mind,
fucking
Draymond.
amazing this
he was.
season.
He was also a maniac. If I'm getting clean mind, clean soul, give me Draymond.
Okay, let's keep going.
He's not available.
All right,
We're almost done.
Yeah.
J Dub.
No, not yet.
No, this is not.
This is a no. This is a
Julius
no.
Randle.
No.
No, this is no.
No.
Carl Anthony Towns.
No. No.
It's a conversation. It's a
Oh
conversation.
my, that Really?
It's the
It's
conversation.
Karl-Anthony
He just has
Towns.
some really low lows. I feel bad
That's
for him.
another
He's
dude.
got
And
some
you want to
really
talk about
low
Rudy
lows.
low lows? His
He's
low
got-
lows are
Game
hilarious.
Game 7, he was the best player on the court.
I agree
But
with
I'll
you.
be honest,
He beat
if he was just average for those first 6 games, who knows if it goes to a game 7?
All of Minnesota, outside of Anthony Edwards in the Mavs series, were bad. They were bad.
You're cooking.
Okay, against the Nuggets, Karl-Anthony Towns.
Karl-Anthony Towns had a 50-point
There's a
game, and his
perfect-
plus minus was
yes,
negative.
Okay, that's in a fucking regular season.
What are we doing against Charlotte?
You want to talk
They
about?
subbed him out because he was so
when
bad
Karl-
defensively.
He was terrible.
Yo,
he had
like,
60,
what
though.
are we
He had 60.
That's a problem.
He had 60. Karl-Anthony
subbed
Towns.
him out
no,
the
there was
game.
actually a correlation when Karl-Anthony Towns played like shit. The Wolves lost. When Karl-Anthony Towns plays
And when
well,
Rudy's
they
not at
win.
his best.
Not the same with Rudy, because Game 7 he was fucking mid, and they still won. Why? Because Karl-Anthony Towns.
It's also harder to gauge how if Rudy Gobert is playing well or not. If Cat's
You want to
shooting
know
well
why
from
he's more
3, it's
impactful
very
for them?
black and
Because
white.
their offense is so fucking mid. They need him.
They do.
They
Their
need
offense is still
Karl-Anthony
mid.
Towns. Yeah.
It's still
I will say
literally
this
mid.
too to strengthen your point. Game 2 was the biggest dominant defensive performance
sure.
we've seen against Denver.
and where the fuck was
Gobert
Rudy?
was not
Sure.
there.
One
He was
game
at home
champ-
taking care of his kid.
But he was
Hope you're
very
doing okay.
important though to the series. We could put Cat in the
That's a
questionables.
maybe,
I'm fine with
man.
that.
He's a maybe.
Okay, that's a maybe. James
Lamar?
Harden,
Maybe.
That's a maybe
It's
also.
a no.
It's a maybe.
Brandon Ingram.
No. No.
You'd rather have Brandon Ingram or James Harden?
James Harden.
I don't know, bro. James Harden's like a firm no. He's not even in the
I
conversation.
don't know. Let me not
respectfully.
disrespect James Harden like that.
I said, what did I say for James Harden?
You said no.
You said maybe.
Or you said, excuse me, you said maybe. You said no for BI.
I'm sorry, both no's.
Okay, fine.
you know,
Okay, that's fair. Next name, DeJounte Murray.
No.
Rudy. Yeah.
Fuck are we doing?
Jaron Jackson Jr.
No.
John Moran.
Yeah,
you can add
we're
him.
done.
You can add him.
It's been done.
Paolo Banchero.
Not yet. Not yet. Not yet.
I'm not gonna lie.
I'm
I'm taking Paulo right now.
losing.
I'm taking Paulo right now.
It's
That Cavs series moved the fuck
Okay,
out. I mean,
fine,
not that I
fine,
needed it, but that
fine,
solidified
fine,
like he's gonna be a
fine.
fucking superstar.
Fine. But the Phoenix series didn't move nobody. You know what? Fuck y'all. That's
Phoenix
fine.
was mid. Phoenix was mid. We've known that all season long. You and I have spoken about
all
it.
season long, you said the Cavs were mid. You can't
That's
do
not
that.
true.
Yes,
That's
you
not
did.
true. You're
Yes,
talking
you
about
did.
him. You're talking about last season.
Definitely.
Yes, you're talking about him.
Defensively,
Don't talk
I never
about
said
me.
they were mid.
I apologize.
Defensively, they
you.
were there.
You.
Defensively, they were solid.
So
It's not even that. It's Paulo just had nobody to do shit on his team except for him, and he was doing it all.
I mean, sure, I guess. He was amazing.
There's no offense on that team outside of
He
Paulo.
was amazing. I'm just saying, Rudy defensively was like, you were watching
amazing.
like God walk on water.
He wasn't even the
against
best
Suns.
defender this past season.
Who?
Rudy, he wasn't. It was Wemby. He wasn't God on water. He wasn't even the best in the fucking league.
Wemby is on a minutes restriction, bro.
And he still had better numbers.
How was? What are you talking about? Fucking
Blocks?
blocks? Are you
Well,
serious right
everything.
now?
In terms of, well, let me not say impact, because of course, but
That's
Impact,
a lie.
Rudy
That's a
Gobert.
lie.
I tell you
Impact.
what I
It was
said.
Rudy
That's what
Gobert.
I said.
Defensive
So that's
impact,
not
Rudy
true.
Gobert,
But if you
clear.
take Wemby off the fucking court, the
They're
Spurs
ass.
are the worst team ever.
And they're still ass when he's on the court defensively. So what are you talking about?
Defensively, they got better.
When you put Rudy on the
They
court,
got
they're
better
the best defense in the world.
In year one, they got drastically better on
From
defense.
what? Ass to ass?
Ass to okay,
Ass. Like,
average.
what?
They were
Both cheeks
average.
to just one cheek?
Dude, are you looking at just players still?
The last name I have that I'm searching through, and I think this is the last player that I'm going to name. Maybe actually two. Drew Holiday,
No, I would take Rudy. And I love Drew.
OG Anunoby. Taking Rudy still? Okay.
Yo, you really don't care about offense. You don't.
First of all,
You don't.
stop.
You don't care about
No,
it.
I do, but Rudy's defense damn near is better than a lot of dudes' offense.
But
Fact.
offense and defense. Put it together.
OG's
Drew
not this two-way-
Holiday.
Drew can't anchor a defense, bro.
And Drew,
He's not Drew,
if
no,
Drew
he's
is,
not.
if you're giving Drew those same responsibilities offensively, he's inefficient again.
What responsibilities are we
Right
talking
now,
about?
he's a role player
Yeah,
on
and
offense.
he's 50, 40, 90.
Yeah, that's
what
dope.
What are they asking Rudy to be on offense?
The anchor.
A role
The anchor.
offense.
The anchor.
On fucking
okay, but on
offense.
defense, the anchor.
Yes, he
the
is.
anchor.
He is. That's a big job. I
The
agree.
anchor.
It is. But there's other anchors defensively that are good offensively.
There's three.
He's fucking
three.
irrelevant on offense.
There's three of them.
It's
There's
it's
three.
AD, Bam, Giannis.
Yeah, that's it. And even then,
Anchors, yeah. Anchors
So what are you
is a
talking
strong
about?
word.
and Rudy anchors the best defense, no matter who's on the team.
Are we friends saying KD?
Katie, what?
Anchors what?
He has to anchor the defense over the Suns. It's that bad.
Don't get me started.
The questionables we had were Jamal Murray, De'Aaron Fox, Kristaps Porzingis, Tyrese Maxey, Pascal Siakam, Paul George, Dame, Draymond, and Cat.
One Caruso. I mean it.
Those are a lot of names.
But we still got 25 that we felt
We do
with.
still have 25 for him.
I think the point is that Rudy Gobert's one of the better players in the league still, though.
He's top 30 player.
Well, shit, I don't know. The maybes. You might not have him top 30.
Anyhow.
Well, for what we definitely know, Pascal Siakam isn't top 25.
Caruso, Josh Giddey. Riv, do you want to actually have the floor here? You're in your full Chicago Bulls gear, which is the first time in years maybe that I've seen that. What were your thoughts on the deal?
I have my Chicago shirt on. Somebody got this for me.
This is rock bottom.
I have my D-Rose shorts on.
He confuses me because I feel like a few months ago he's like, I'm not a Bulls fan, and then today he is a Bulls fan.
No, what I told you was, verbatim, I said, if Zach LaVine isn't gone this summer, this will officially, all trolling aside, be my last summer.
They have 15 trade offers on the table.
Do we?
That's the report. They have 15 trade offers.
We have like 2, and maybe not even 2. It's probably 1. Yeah, this news broke my heart. You know, I've been pretty much shitting on Josh Giddey for the past 2 years. He's not a good basketball player. But at the same time, I thought we could have got a little bit more for Caruso. There's been multiple reports of it was top 10 picks on the table, or 2025 first. Like there, and I think last year we would have moved Caruso. We would have got 2 first-round picks for him. So there's been multiple reports. I don't know if they're true or if they're false. Of course, reports can always be fabricated. They always come out as cap. But based off the reports, there has been deals that have been better than just outright trading for Josh Giddey. To talk about OKC just for a second, they kind of got a guy where they didn't necessarily need, but nonetheless, bringing it. They just come off a playoff series where they lost in 6 games, their first playoff berth with this young core. You bring in an experienced guy who has an NBA championship, who has been on great teams, who has been an anchor for a defense. You bring him in to kind of pair him up with SGA, with Case and Wallace, who this could help for his development too, just learning under Alex Caruso. And this kind of makes Dort a little bit expendable to a degree, when now they can go out and get an actual really good big. But shout out to OKC for kind of getting Caruso basically for nothing for their standards, because they weren't really going to play Giddey, and he was losing minutes anyways. For Chicago, I mean, shit, they're kind of realizing they need to blow this up. It's been 2-3 years too late, so they're kind of trying to salvage what they can. Getting Giddey, I guess I've seen a lot of Bulls fans be excited about the year. He put up 17, 8, and 7, and just hopefully have some optimism. For me, I'm trying to get that top 10 pick back. We have a top 10 protection on it for next year, 2025. I'm excited to get that back. They've been talking about they're going to trade DeMar. They're going to trade Zach. If trading Caruso is the first start of the fire sale, then I'm excited. Because I've been calling for this fire sale for a really long time. This shit is over. This shit been over. Let's get it out the way. They're talking about they might buy out Lonzo Ball. We're here. Like I've been excited. I've been waiting for this. So if Caruso is the first part of this, I'm excited for it. I wish you could have got a little bit more for Caruso, which I think you could have. But nonetheless, I'm just trying to get more ass and just hopefully tank and get a top 10.
Get more ass.
Get more ass. Like get worse.
Get worse.
I also thought
I know that sounded a little nuts, but you know how I am.
I want to ask you something. What would your reaction be if the Bulls went out and signed Tobias Harris?
Oh my God.
Would it be like a 1+1 team option? I'm good off that.
You just signed him.
Would you?
What's your reaction if you signed Tobias Harris?
Long term, I'm pissed the fuck.
There should be no world you sign Tobias Harris.
If you bring in Tobias Harris, I'm doubling down.
Because if it's short term, that means you're trying to win. You're trying to get to the play.
Because you got to think, if we're like I told you in the car, we're signing and trading DeMar. So if Tobias is in that quote unquote move,
if you're getting draft picks with him or something,
then it makes sense, But Tobias long term would hurt my soul, because what the fuck are we doing? You know what I'm saying?
But if it's like a 1+1, if you get Tobias back, find a way to flip him for something.
Yeah, I think you get him, flip him, but still, this team isn't good at flipping. This team isn't good at making moves.
It's your first player trade in 3 years
since the Laurie trade.
Yeah,
that's
the last one.
The Laurie trade we lost. Not the Laurie trade, the Vooch trade.
Yeah.
We lost.
The Laurie trade you also lost, but facts.
I'm gonna be honest.
What did we trade for with Laurie?
You got Derrick Jones Jr.
Oh God, we lost bad. Oh my Lord.
Wait, the Mavs won.
We had Dereck Jones Jr. We had him.
You did.
He played well for us.
He was good.
I can make a strong argument that the Bulls are the worst organization in basketball.
The Nets are right there. But yes, they're one of the worst.
They're like bottom 5.
We're bottom 3.
I think I would rather be the Pistons than the Bulls.
It's because Cade's there. You're cooking.
I would rather be the Wizards. I would rather be the Hornets.
Okay.
I would rather
They all have a star.
They
except
at
Washington.
least have a direction. Washington,
not a Kobe White guy?
Washington is close.
No, they have a direction
For
now.
the fact that they decided to tank the year after Victor Wembanyama was available.
Old
That's
strategy.
where I have Washington in this conversation with you guys.
What about the Nets?
The Nets at least got assets back after trading Kevin Durant. They traded Kevin Durant, got assets. They folded.
Anyone could have done
They're
that.
building around Mikal Bridges.
Agreed. That is a fold. Right now, the Nets also are in this conversation,
They're better than the Bulls in recent years.
but I think I would rather
It's
be.
been 1 year.
The last 5 years, I think the Nets have made better decisions than the Bulls.
Ooh.
Was the decision
Well, we
to
haven't made
sign
any
Kyrie and
decisions.
KD, trade for Harden, and trade them all away?
So, yeah, we haven't
that
done
includes
anything.
that.
Yeah, we haven't done anything.
It just got so toxic. It's really one of the more unfortunate situations that happened that in hindsight, you look back and say the Nets shouldn't have traded them, but in the moment,
their
it felt
hands
like
were
it
tied.
In hindsight,
Yeah.
you could say that about every Nets move that's been made in the last
in the
15
moment,
years.
it felt like all those moves were the right moves. I don't think the Paul Pierce and KG ones were though.
Didn't I get Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum? They didn't
No,
win.
no. That's the worst trade ever.
No, they got them. They got Paul Pierce and KG at the
And the
tail end of
farthest
the
they've got
Bronx.
was the second round.
Here's the
No,
thing.
that's terrible.
They lost us. Don't ever forget that, little bro.
Yeah, Nate Robinson.
There's no, to me, there's no logical explanation why they should have traded any of the big three: Harden, KD, and Kyrie. I don't care. You would have had them for multiple seasons. They would have had to stick it out. You would have won something. I do believe that. I want to say that there is a strong argument to make that the Bulls are the worst organization right now in basketball.
In sports?
No, far from sports. There's some bad fucking teams. Trading Caruso for a player that OKC didn't want is irresponsible. Shout out to Kenny. Of course, you guys know Kenny. I don't need to tell you who he is. He said that he could have gone on my league and gotten a better trade offer, gotten a better trade package for Caruso than what the real Bulls got. And that's just the epitome of what is the truth. How the fuck do you trade one of the best defenders in basketball? Shot over 40% from three, can actually handle the basketball on offense, and has switchability that very few players in the league offer you, for a guy that Oklahoma City doesn't even want, and you don't get any type of draft compensation. The big bonus for you is that there's, and if you want to really get delusional, that Josh Giddey's a young player, that he, with the ball in his hands, without SGA, averaged 17 points per game, and assists, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. There, and also you freed up $2 million, I believe, in cap. I think that's what you get back to. There was like a $2 million kicker.
That's dope.
Thank God. Need that.
What are you doing? What's the direction? Zach LaVine better be traded, because if Zach LaVine does not get traded, and this idea of Tobias Harris coming to the Bulls, I mean, I won't even talk about that for right now. If you keep Zach, you have zero direction. There is no way that you can tell me you care or you're serious about winning right now if you're the Chicago Bulls. You've handled a rebuild as poorly as humanly possible, and it's been years since you've been relevant and really a serious threat. And I will give them the benefit of the doubt that Lonzo Ball was a devastating injury to the direction of the squad.
We gotta stop.
But you needed to pivot and adjust when you realized that shit was hitting the fan, and you never did.
I think for the Thunder, great trade. Home run.
Amazing.
There might not be an easier trade that Sam Presti ever had to make in his life other than this one. I mean,
I don't even think he had to sweat for this one.
Trading Paul George probably hurt a little bit, even though you're getting SGA, getting draft picks. Like, that maybe hurt a little bit because Paul George, best player on your team. But this is a home run. I mean, I do see kind of, we talked about a while, I think, before the Gobert thing. Like, it is a bit of a smaller lineup, with SGA, Dort potentially, Caruso. It is a bit smaller. But I think the defensive just energy, tenacity, effort, and skill could kind of overcome that. And the fact that you just have no weaknesses now defensively or offensively, because Josh Giddey was just such a big negative for this team, as I think you mentioned earlier, Joel, that you get benched in the playoffs, your biggest moment so far of your career, and you can't even really be out on the team. The few moments we saw Josh Giddey be fantastic this season is when SGA was out of lineup. I think he had like a triple-double, potentially had like a 30-point game or something in a couple of these games where SGA ended up missing some time. But other than that, I think it was evident that it was very difficult for him to kind of find his footing in this team, on this offense. And when he was playing really well for his standards in that second year, he had more on-ball responsibility. And I think that's where kind of the conversation gets lost with Josh Giddey, because he's going to have more on-ball responsibility with Chicago. Obviously, there's just not as much talent there. And he probably will put up similar to those 17, 8, and 8 numbers. But I think people are just going to get caught up in the box score saying he's nearly averaging a triple-double compared to what he's actually producing for the Bulls. Because I think on a bad Bulls team where it's going to be like him, Kobe White, you probably still have to keep Vooch around just because I don't know if anyone's really taking on
Io
him.
too.
Io too, but now does Io get pushed to the bench? Like one, or are you starting all three together? So I'm under the assumption that one of them has come off the bench, and most likely it would probably be Io, even though second half of the season last year he was great. Yeah, but then you just, I don't know. It's just a kind of a weird lineup. The spacing is really bad, especially because Vooch now all of a sudden cannot shoot three. I mean, it's been a couple of seasons now, but his three-pointer really fell off. If you bring back DeMar, he can't shoot three. So the spacing is going to be really ugly. But I do think box score-wise, he's going to have decent numbers. And at 21 years old, if you're able to flip him down the line, because you can convince another team, like, listen, Josh Giddey's over here giving me damn near a triple-double at 22 years old. You could get maybe a cheaper deal. That's really the only explanation that I could come from the Chicago Bulls side, because it feels very unlikely with the 25 first-round picks, or however many they have in these next few seasons, you couldn't even get some lottery top 20 protected that conveys into a couple seconds 5 years from now. The fact you couldn't get any draft picks, even if it's just a little throw-in that OKC says, you know, just take this because we know we're not going to have the roster spots available for it, it seems a little fishy. But I think for the Thunder, obviously a home run. I'm just happy Chicago made a move. Like, that's why, half joking, worst organization in sports, but to not make a trade for years, like just sitting on your hands with a core, with a duo, however you want to look at it, that does not work. And there is no path, zero path at all to even winning a playoff series, that you're just going to stick there and say, we're not going to do any trades. We're just going to run this back year after year. That's where the argument comes into saying this is one of the worst run team in all of sports. I'm just happy we think they picked a direction. We think this is now going into a rebuild, but we can't assume anything with Chicago, because they could trade Caruso and now all of a sudden you're like, you know what, freed up a couple $1 million of cap. Let's go sign somebody and let's run this back and try to make a play and push. But I do think the fact that you have this top 10 protected pick, that you need to be in the top 10 to get your draft pick in 2025, that gives me a little more just breathing room. Like, take a deep breath, relax. They should be selling. You need a top 10 pick next year. Do not try to go for this cute little play and push. Do not hope for Lonzo Ball to come back. Bro. I think they're really, this is the time they go for the rebuild. Caruso is the first step. We'll see Levine go. You might have to attach a pick to Levine, which even hurts anymore, because maybe you could have got a little pick to get off.
We won't get a pick back.
How many years Levine got left? 3?
3.
You'll get picks, bro.
We'll get a second round. Like, the only team I've seen we're really like.
You don't have to attach a pick to get off Zach Levine, you don't think?
No, because the conversation we've been talking with is Sacramento. They're giving up
bro,
Barnes
think about
and
Bradley Beal had an unbelievable contract, and they got 5 seconds for him.
Yeah, and I think we're looking back saying that was probably the wrong move.
I think at worst, we'll have to get like a second.
Bradley had a really good second half of the season.
You're stuck with him.
Agreed. But again,
very similar to Sacramento. You just re-signed Malik Monk. We're gonna get into De'Aaron Fox, Sabonis, Levine. How else are you gonna improve this roster,
brother? If we give,
the Kings, you're saying,
bro.
Well,
I'm not giving the Bulls a first for Zach.
If we have to give a pick,
and I don't think he's worth a
to
first.
get Harrison Barnes and Kevin Huerter, I'm gonna throw a fit.
It's a bad contract, and he's injury prone. He's been banged up a lot. Defensively, we know he's not giving you much.
They are the ones that want him bad. That's what the Kings. They have been in. Yeah, they've been in. They want him
because I know Philly doesn't want him. That's the latest report.
They're the team. They took what I read today was conversations heating up. Kings is locking in.
If I'm the Kings, I'm really holding off.
I don't hate that.
I'm really holding off.
I don't like it because the money. Like, Zach LaVine is a good ass player.
That's why
the money is just too much.
Offensively, you add more spacing. Obviously, another guy that's going to be willing to attack the basket, although maybe not as much as previous years, because of course the injuries are really piling up with Zach, but. Playing off of Sabonis in that type of movement, you add Levine to that mix.
Listen,
that's still a great trio.
A huge W.
And plus Keegan Murray,
brother. I just want the money off. I just want the money off.
You guys have some bad contracts, really bad ones.
Harrison Barnes' contract is up in like a year or two. Huerter is up in like 2-3 years. I just want.
And you can flip those.
Yeah, you can flip Huerter. Probably he's younger. I just need 40 mil off the books.
You do also have a great contract in Kobe.
No, he's the GOAT.
Yeah, did you resign Ayo?
Yes.
3
years, 21.
Oh, yeah, it's firm.
Yeah.
He was really good last year.
It's almost malpractice for the Bulls to trade Alex Caruso and not get any sort of pick back. First round pick, maybe it's understandable. Not even a second. I would have asked for a second round pick for PR purposes, just so it looks better. Give me 2 seconds. Let's make this trade look better. OKC traded a clear negative, not only in the playoffs, but all regular season long. Mark Daigneault just got to his breaking point in the playoffs and finally decided to bench him in the playoffs. But he has been borderline unplayable for this team all season long. The only way, if you're a Bulls fan, you can convince yourself that this is the right move is if the front office has a clear goal of being as bad as they possibly can be, because they understand this upcoming draft class is filled with some star-studded talent at the top. That's the only way you can convince yourself that this is a good deal. But the trade aspect of it, we're going to be looking back at this trade and saying OKC came out like bandits. Even when Drew Holiday was traded from the Blazers to the Celtics, the Blazers got 2 first-round picks. They got Malcolm Brogdon, and they got Robert Williams. That was a great haul for the Blazers when they traded Drew. This is not what Caruso's worth. He should have went for much more, but this is a steal for OKC.
And Giddey's a restricted free agent next year. So you're either going to have to pay him or you're going to let him walk. So you traded Caruso for 1 year of Josh Giddey. And you want to pay Josh Giddey all of a sudden? Like, it's a
they
tough
have Ace
move.
Bailey going 4.
I just think, wait, what?
In the mock draft. They have Ace Bailey going 4.
Oh, wow. It's so shocking, just the contrast of where the Bulls were when they first signed DeMar and traded for Vooch and signed Lonzo versus where they are now. Because there was a lot of excitement around that first season, and I know that Lonzo got hurt, but I think all it did was make the inevitable happen a little bit early.
And the Woj report was that it seems like Lonzo's not going to be on the roster next year. Whether that's a buyout, release straight, whatever ends up happening.
20 mil off the damn books. We're here.
The move I loved the most was Malik Monk re-signing with the Kings.
Loved it.
This was a clear sign of taking loyalty over maybe a couple extra million. He's comfortable in Sacramento. He's playing with De'Aaron Fox. I don't think that this re-signing automatically means that he's going to start, but this is a bargain deal for the Kings, getting a player who I think is clearly worth 25 plus mil for 17 mil a year. It now gives them a chance to make a big move, for a player who might have a bigger contract who they can bring in. I think that wing spot is the biggest need for them because I think Keon Ellis next year starts at the 2. When he started, they post All-Star break, they were 9th in defensive rating. He changes their point of attack defense drastically. Malik Monk was just the first step in now focusing on this draft and adding some size to the team. I think Khalil Ware from Indiana, I think he's awesome, and I think he's going to be awesome. And Yves Missi. I think those are 2 bigs that, with their pick, they're right there for the taking, and they would make this team much better.
This was obviously a no-brainer for the Kings. We had how many conversations about potential destinations for Malik Monk, believing that he wasn't going to resign because he was going to be due for so much money that obviously the Kings weren't going to be able to match due to the new restrictions of the player something bargaining, the collective bargaining agreement, whatever the fuck. That being said, if you're the Kings, this couldn't have gone any better for you. Now you go and you can, like Joel said, you can find future pieces to try and build this core that you do have. And I would still consider this a young team. Obviously, understanding Keegan Murray's still getting going. He's still young. De'Aaron Fox, Malik Monk, and Kevin, Domantas Sabonis, who is the oldest of the trio.
Like 27.
But still very young and just entering his prime. A great player. Needs to have things that he improves at, obviously. Needs to work on his mid-range jumper and needs to find a way to be relevant on defense. But if you go ahead and you do bring in another guy that has size and that can help relieve some of that tension off of him so that they could really lock in on that offensive side that we know that they thrive in, the Kings can get back to being in that playoff contention.
Ooh.
The playoff contention, a.k.a. playing 7-8 seed. The West is really good.
So good.
But understanding Keegan still can get better. De'Aaron Fox had a couple, like it was like a month and a half of not playing his most efficient brand of basketball, but we saw him take a step in his three-point shooting game. Malik Monk was just robbed of Sixth Man of the Year, and Domantas Sabonis is an all-NBA caliber player who obviously does have deficiencies, but is still a great player in his own right. You mentioned Keon Ellis and his impact on the defensive side. If he can start becoming a consistent three-point shooter, that'd be huge. But I understand the logic of trading for a Levine if they are going to trade a Huerter and Harrison Barnes. At least you get consistent offense when he is on the court. Let's preface that. He has had his history with injuries, but Kevin Huerter and Harrison Barnes are inconsistent offensive players. But if you bring in Zach LaVine, and if he is healthy, that's a strong addition to an already solid offense that would only get better.
If they have the 13th pick, if Ron Holland somehow slips to 13, get him. Take him. Don't waste no time. Because, like, the Kings are in a weird situation where, yes, Fox can get better. How much better? I don't know. Mm-hmm. Yes, Sabonis can get better. How much better? I think defensively he'll always be, an issue. Keegan Murray can definitely still get better.
That's the X factor to me.
Keegan can get better for sure. Keon Ellis they'll have good players, but in the West, you kind of need a guy and then another guy with you, unless your team is so freaking good. And Kevin Huerter, Harrison Barnes. They don't have their 2025 first-round pick. They have 2026. You probably can't trade it. And then they have all their first-round picks after that. I don't know who can that get you, like what type of star. That's the guy who you're gearing for, because Kevin Huerter and Harrison Barnes isn't really getting you anybody that's in the top echelon of the NBA talent. So it's really like the Kings are going to have to, get better internally. And I think it started with bringing back Malik Monk. I did think he was going to go somewhere else for a little bit more cheese, but like you mentioned, he did find a home in Sacramento. He loves playing under Mike Brown. Mike Brown just got his suspension, which was huge, because I think he's a great coach in the NBA. So bringing him back was tough. Whether he starts, it's all going to be dependent on what they do in this draft and what they do in this offseason, who they bring in. But they do need to upgrade their talent, because like you mentioned, the West is so crazy. You got Memphis coming back. You got OKC still around. The Pelicans still around. Like, all these teams, what is Houston going to do this offseason? Is the Spurs going to pull the trigger on Trae Young? Like, there's so many timelines where the Kings could legitimately end up not in the playoffs, which would be tough, which they weren't in the playoffs this year. So the West is just such a wild roller coaster that the Kings, there's small rooms for error, and the Kings are going to have to build internally to make this program work. But shout out to them for getting Malik Monk back, because that was huge. That was probably their number 1 or 2 priority. It was either Mike Brown or Malik Monk, but those were their top 2 priorities. They got them both in. Now it's about drafting the right guy, whether it be a backup big or finding a gem at that wing spot, and then trying to just improve this roster in the offseason with the little money they have.
Yeah, easy signing. I mean, we had a lot of conversations, like you said, Drew, about, potentially a team like Orlando, a team like San Antonio, a lot of different fun spots, I think, just for player movement. But in a realistic perspective, this was, I think, the best spot for Malik Monk. He found a home in Sacramento after having a very rocky start to his NBA career. This is really his first big bag, too, of his NBA career, getting nearly $80 million from where he was just a few seasons ago, where he's coming over and getting, what was it, a minimum contract at first, I think he signed, or 2 years, 10 mil, something like that,
2 years,
right?
18,
or 10 mil a season, yeah. So a very small contract in comparison to what he just got now. But I think when you find a home like Malik Monk has, your best option is usually to stay at home. You could get greedy, even though I wouldn't have looked at him any other way if he would have went out and tried to get 25, 30 million from a different organization. But the fact that he stayed in Sacramento, and although this season was a failure compared to the previous season, where you are a top 3-4 seed in the West, you make your first playoffs, and God knows how long was it, 20 plus years at that point. Progression isn't always linear. It's not always just first round, second round, third round NBA finals, right? So this Kings team, I think, is kind of experiencing that, where you shocked the NBA 2 seasons ago. You're one of the best regular season teams. You lose in 7 to the Golden State Warriors. The next season you come back, don't even make the playoffs. It's very easy to kind of get down yourself, get down the organization, and just say that this team has no way to improve or see no real ceiling. And although it's difficult to see a path for them to win an NBA finals or even get to the NBA finals with WCF, I think that him being there at least gives them a chance to kind of play this thing out, because he's, in my opinion, their third best player. We've seen in spurts especially playmaking this season, that he's still improving. He's still an efficient shooter. You're able to get gems like Keon Ellis, who made big strides in the second half of this year. Of course, you drafted Keegan Murray just a few seasons ago. And Sabonis and Fox are still one of the better duos, not the best, one of the better duos in the NBA. The next step for them, like you mentioned, Riv, is just trying to find a way to win a playoff series. Right? I do think they're at a disadvantage talent-wise with a lot of teams in the Western Conference, because even having De'Aaron Fox as your best player is probably not saying much when you compare it to the rest of the best players in the Western Conference. Like that, what's that? Well, like the 9th best player in the West, maybe, if not lower on that ranking.
Shit, some number 2s is better.
That's like you have Devin Booker or KD. However you look at that as a number 2, who I'm taking over De'Aaron Fox right now. But I think this was great for both parties. Malik Monk staying in Sacramento, you're building something there, and for the Kings, there really isn't a better option out there than Malik Monk. I would look at them very sideways if they trade for Zach LaVine, because although the talent is there, I think we're going to get another Bradley Beal situation where you're going to look at the end of next season, how do we improve the Kings? Oh, wait, we can't, because we're teetering with that second apron because we're paying Zach LaVine $40 million for the next 2 or 3 seasons.
It's also just going to be hard understanding that, first off, let me say, I like the statement. I agree. Progression is not linear. Very well said. However, if you're Sacramento, how are you going to recruit high-end talent to your roster, especially when you're a middling team? It's extremely
in California.
That too. It's also extremely difficult to consistently hit from picks 11 to 15
for sure
every year.
But I just don't think you have to make a desperate move. Zach LaVine feels like a desperate move to me.
Zach LaVine makes their defense one of the worst in the league.
Zach LaVine's been a part of multiple good defenses.
When he tries, he's all right.
I'm not buying it, bro.
The Kings are defense already.
If LaVine was just on a decent contract, I'm all for it.
You think that there's a difference between Malik Monk and Zach defensively?
Malik is coming off the bench. He's only playing 25 minutes per game. Yeah. I think if you have De'Aaron Fox, Zach LaVine, Keegan, and Sabonis with Keon Ellis, I think that's still a pretty bad defense.
I'm not sitting here giving you an opposite solution, so I'm not really defending it well. But I also think last season we had this same conversation with Bradley Beal. It's like, what else do you want them to do? It's
different because it's not. I agree with you. I think Zach's money is going to be hard to move. The only good difference, Zach doesn't have a no trade clause.
That's fair.
Yeah, Zach LaVine, 2022, 2023, he averaged 25, and then this past season he averaged 20, 25 and 4.
Well, he played.
What's his games played been these last 3 years? 25
games in 2022, 2023 was 77. And then the year before,
that's 77.
It was 67.
Still hurt. He played hurt the whole year.
He was.
So 2 out of 3 years. I mean, you're playing 67 plus games. That's still, more than good enough. But of course, last year was bad.
I think with the Kings, it's just about trusting your guys internally to get better. I think they just have to really hope Keegan takes the biggest leap, and that's why I think Zach LaVine, like from an entertaining perspective, like I think he would make the Kings fun. He would, but would it affect the growth of Keegan offensively? I think something like that would. And I think Keegan, who from his rookie year to his second year took a 3-point per game jump, you're hoping in his third year, even if he takes the same 3-point per game jump, he's at 18 and 19 a game. Mm-hmm. If he makes a bigger stride, he's a 20-point per game scorer who also flashed all defense potential this past season. I think they just got to bank on him getting better. And with Keon Ellis inserted into the lineup and keeping Malik Monk, you just keep the continuity on this team and you make moves around the edges. Like, for example, if they, like the Knicks, when they got Josh Hart, getting another role player who fits around the current guys, because Zach LaVine, it's a big piece to just plop in there after him not playing essentially a year, and now he got to fit with the brand new roster. I think it'll be a lot to ask for him, and a lot for the Kings to be competitive if that were to happen. If something happens to Zach LaVine, who you can't really trust his health.
I just think Horter and Barnes are expendable.
They are.
That's why I feel like if those are the two pieces being put in a package for LaVine, that's not a negative for the Kings. The negative becomes the second apron. Yep.
I made that trade in 2K. The Bulls lineup is...
And they accepted?
I overrided it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The package, well, the lineup for the Bulls now, because I'm doing a rebuild for the Bulls, is Josh Giddey, Kobe White, one or two. It doesn't matter really who's the one or two. Harrison Barnes.
Who would you have run the one? Who would you want to have the ball in the hands more?
Kobe White's the one.
Okay, I agree.
I think the one or two matters.
Vucevic is still on the team, and then Harrison Barnes. Kevin Huerter was on a heater for me. He averaged like 17, and he only played like 24 minutes. I stopped playing 2K after I did that rebuild because I ended up winning the championship.
So wait, who's
With
the
that lineup?
No, with that core, yeah, I did.
No way.
I didn't play. I sinned. I
So wait,
sinned.
who's the two?
Kobe White.
How
Well,
the
no,
hell did you
Josh
win a
Giddey,
championship with Kobe White, Josh
Hey, brother,
Giddey?
it's 2K. Yeah, I'll be honest.
God damn.
No,
I
I'll
feel
show
away.
you. Yeah, no, I won a championship with them, and that's
Who
when
was
I stopped playing
MVP?
2K.
Finals MVP.
I think it was Josh Giddey.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
Like
no,
if
for real.
like that was if somebody walked up to me like, yo, like who's the 1 or 2 in your team? I'd feel disrespected. Like I'm the one.
The reason I ask is because I would want it to be Kobe White, but I also would rather Kobe White play off ball than Josh Giddey play off ball. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but
He's right.
he is unfortunately right. But Kobe need that rock.
I agree.
need
No, I
him to
agree.
Get in there. That's like, you know.
That's why I stopped playing 2K. Once
said
that
this is
happened, I
bullshit.
said I can't rebuild them because I was aiming to get a top 5 pick in 2025,
You know you can
and they
force
ended
your
up making the
L's.
playoffs.
Should have forced your L's.
You should. No, I didn't want
how
to.
You have to do like individually force an L. Fucking 82 games.
This week in the NBA/NFL, I have a blind ranking for you guys. Let's
do it.
It's about Paul George. So this is a Paul George blind ranking. I want you guys to blindly rank these 10 potential landing spots.
Okay, 10.
Why the
Are we doing? We're doing 10 now.
10?
10 teams.
Because there's a lot of teams that he can maybe go to. Who knows? Who knows where he's going to end up?
Brother, that's all right. That's
We're gonna have to keep. I'll keep track of my freaking notes, man. Jeez.
Miami Heat.
Let's put him at 4.
Well, there's 10.
Are you gonna keep them? Actually, the notes.
Yeah, I got you,
thank
Dehls.
God.
I was okay. I was thinking
My-
3, so 4 if you want to go 4.
Paul George, Miami Heat. I think that's one of the better landing
That is
spots
pretty
for
good.
him.
I'm thinking 3.
We can get a little better. You want to go 3? We go 3.
Let's go. We always do it too
Alright,
safe
agreed.
and go 4, 5, 6. Do 3.
They have Spo.
That's
Let's
a
go 3.
great landing
Alright,
spot
3.
with
3.
Jimmy,
Yes.
with Bam. That's a great landing spot.
We're assuming they keep Jimmy. So yes,
We are assuming they keep doing unless Jimmy comes over to LA.
This fucking guy's got to get
he
stopped.
might come to Golden State.
Imagine. Yo, apparently it's real.
What do you have to offer?
We have Kuminga.
The Heat are going into a rebuild.
Hey, might as well. It's time. You know what I'm saying?
The Houston Rockets.
4.
Yeah, I don't think it's
Okay.
better than Miami.
So you
Or
put the
5.
Heat at 3.
I like.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
Heat
said
at
3.
3.
Okay.
Well, we can do 5.
I like it a lot.
I do too. I don't think it'd be top. I think we can find 2 more.
5?
better. 5.
So just
How
out
we
of
feeling
curiosity,
on
we're just
6?
doing this based on like fit, like how we think it
Yeah,
ends up
fit,
type shit.
Fit.
Yes.
I love this for them.
5?
A guy that can lead the young guys, and this is like the Reggie Miller for the Pacers.
Yeah,
when they
I'm
had
cool. I'm cool with
Jermaine
5.
O'Neal and shit.
I'm cool with 4, honestly
We can
too.
do 4.
I like 4.
You want to do 5?
I'm
Okay, I'm good with 5 too.
5.
Alright,
Because I want
I'll
the
agree.
top 4 to be like contending
Yeah,
teams, like he
okay.
can go and win.
The Golden State Warriors.
1.
actually.
No,
2. 4.
I think I
I
could get
agree.
into 4.
If you give
Because
Steph
got
another
him,
guy,
Steph,
we're back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Because you
thinking
give
4
Steph
also.
an actual number 2.
1, I very clearly, I'm thinking Philadelphia.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
top
New York,
2.
potentially.
Okay, that's
Yeah, okay,
another one.
okay.
All
So
right.
4.
Yeah.
The Orlando Magic.
That's
6.
another
I like
one.
this a lot.
That's another one.
6.
I would
Is that
rather
2?
3 than 6.
We
Or
already
did
have 3.
Sorry.
Would you rather the Rockets or the Magic for Paul George to go to? You
The Magic.
The Magic.
I would
don't think
rather
it's
the
close
Magic.
though? I think it's pretty close.
No.
Oh.
No, it's
we
not
should have
close
left some
because the
spaces
Magic
in
are
between
here.
these because they probably can't be 2, but 6 just feels low.
If you get him to the Magic,
Yeah, I would say Orlando.
if you get him to the Magic, he's going to fit in nicely with the defense. You get a huge boost offensively.
What are they giving up?
They can give up a lot.
Like Anthony Black?
Ooh, I would hate that.
Does
but
it
yes.
have to be a sign and trade?
Yeah.
If he wants to go to any of these teams, it has to be.
Or no, they can pay him. Orlando could pay him.
Orlando could pay him. They're one of the few teams, but for half of these landing
Oh.
spots, it's a
DJ,
sign
if
and
you
trade.
just insert him into
But
that lineup.
he did say that. Well, a report came out that he's likely to opt in and find a new home elsewhere.
Interesting.
I'm feeling 2
Okay.
opinions. We have 10. We fucked up.
I don't think we fucked up. Because I think you could talk yourself
Who we
into
had
Orlando.
Houston at 5?
Houston's 5.
Right now, you have the Heat at 3, Warriors at 4, Rockets at 5.
You can talk yourself into Orlando and out of Orlando. You can rush the timeline and get Paul George, which could be a bad idea, or say no, we're ready
what?
to win right now. So
6.
5, 6 is valid.
Well done.
The New York Knicks.
1,
Well done.
Perfect.
2, 1 or 2. It really doesn't matter.
I think 1. I think this is the perfect landing
Philly
spot
could
for
be
him.
1. That's what I'm saying. But it doesn't. It doesn't matter. They're 1 or 2.
You'd rather. That's what I'm saying. Like
Doesn't matter to
New
me.
York and,
You know what?
and
Fuck
Philly.
it. Number 1.
Yeah,
One,
New York
let's do
number
it.
1.
The Mavericks.
7. We have to put them there. I don't think they'd be 10.
Would they be
2.
2?
I just know Philly's going to be on here. He's like the
If
heavily
it's
linked.
Luka, Kyrie, and Paul George,
It's a
They're in the
great.
West.
They are in the West.
They just went to the finals.
Yeah, but OKC can get better. Denver can get better.
PG in
Teams
the
can still get
playoffs.
better.
I don't know if Denver could really get better. I think they're going to get
PG
worse.
as a third option. We're fucking here.
Okay.
Shit, it might be 2.
PG as a 1 now. Trouble.
So obviously the Sixers are here.
Like, it's better to me. This is better than Orlando. This is better than Houston. Like,
So
this is
we can
better
put
than
them
the Warriors. Yeah.
I'm cool with 2.
All right. Well,
The Sixers.
yeah. Like
7.
why?
Well, we went to one of them at 7.
we could
Wow.
talk-
Mavericks at 7. I easily could have convinced.
We can
myself.
say this. If they pay PG, they'll pay Maxey this summer. Role players aren't going to be the best.
So what's the reasoning for the Sixers fit more than the Mavericks?
Here he goes.
Big 3.
What? There's a big 3 in Dallas too.
You lost me.
They're both the big 3.
I guess, but like,
He hates them.
how are they going to run that offense?
PG can play off ball.
Yeah.
Now it's 2. I guess.
Kyrie can play off ball.
I don't see it as a lot different than Philly.
He's
to be
just an
honest.
extreme
Well,
uber.
I feel like if you like the
it's
Philly
all 3
fit,
levels.
He's
What
PJ
team
Washington
what
on
team got a
drugs.
better chance to win a championship? Luka, Kyrie, Paul George, PJ, Lively, Gafford.
Somebody has
or-
to go, bro. You can't say all of them.
you're trading.
No, they could
pieces.
trade picks. Because I don't
It's
think
in
they're
money.
trading one of the core guys.
Well, they have to trade money.
Maybe they
too.
trade PJ. I don't know.
You need to make some money work.
Bro, the money has to go.
Tim Hardaway Jr., Maxi Kleber.
There you go.
That makes
That's
the money work.
27 mil.
You know
That
what?
makes the money work.
Where we really messed up, and I'm taking it out on the Mavericks. Golden State at 4.
I still like the fit, but I like the others more.
I don't like many others.
All
more.
right, so Sixers at 7.
8, 9, 10. Here we go. Who do we got?
The Sacramento Kings.
10.
Sure.
Yeah, it just don't move me.
I don't know. That's a pretty good fucking.
I mean, that's okay.
That's a good.
Sorry,
I mean, no,
guys.
that's a pretty
I
big-
didn't mean 10 teams. I meant 8.
Okay.
It was 8.
8.
Oh,
So the Kings would be last at 8.
All right.
The only thing we fucked up
with.
with was Philly. I feel like everything else was cool.
was that the 8th team or is there one more?
If
That's
we
it.
could just
That's it.
switch Philly and Golden State. That's all I would do.
So the final list is the Knicks at 1, the Mavericks at 2, the Heat at 3, the Warriors at 4, the Rockets at 5, the Magic at 6, the Sixers at 7, and the Kings at 8.
I'll say this. I could defend the Philly one because I think you can make a better argument that you have Tyrese, you have Embiid. Let's surround them with role players. We have $60 million. We don't have to spend 40 to 50
I agree.
on one dude. Let's, get that money, get a KCP, like get dudes that are going to fit around Maxey and Embiid rather than go for this big 3 that we've seen teams do year after year, and more often than not, it fails.
I don't know. PG, Embiid, and Maxey would be awesome.
I
They
agree
have
with your
4
point,
players on the
Dehls.
roster.
Yeah, they really don't have many players that are on
Like
the
Everybody
Paul
should
Reed
do.
is the only other dude under roster they have right now.
They need to sign a lot of guys.
Batum isn't on the roster.
No.
No.
No, he's a free agent.
That's why they got so
They
much
have
damn
Ricky
money.
Council on
Buddy
the
Hield
roster.
isn't on the roster.
No, he's a free
No.
agent.
Dude, Paul Reed's
all right.
the only dude that actually got minutes.
Even Maxey is
Yeah, he's
technically not on the
technically.
roster.
Yeah, he's a restricted free agent.
That shit is actually funny as hell.
No, I agree with your point, Dehls, because the Sixers, the depth is a real concern, especially against a team like Boston where you need a lot of depth to beat them. But for the Heat, I feel like the Heat need a move that drastic to compete. The Warriors, the same thing. The Rockets and Magic are 2 young teams that I think Paul George would help them grow. I think the Rockets could be a sneaky playoff team if he goes there with Şengün and what they got going on, and Jalen Green if he continues to be consistent. And the Kings, of course, is last. And I agree with your first 2 spots, Knicks and Mavericks. I feel like that's very interchangeable. I like the Knicks fit a lot. OG, Paul George, that's a wing tandem that can compete with the Celtics.
I love
What?
the Knicks spot, honestly.
Come again?
That's a wing tandem that can compete
What's
with the
the wing
Celtics.
tandem?
OG and Paul George. Like defensively, yes. We need guys to stop y'all.
I mean, I guess that's like as good as you could probably do. I don't know if they're really at the table with the Jays, but
OG is.
that was defensively, yeah. I think like in terms of finding dudes to stop them, sure. But you said as a wing, I thought you were saying a wing duo in just in a vacuum.
No, I'm saying to guard them. To guard them for a
Yeah,
series.
I mean, that's probably food, but sure.
Yeah. You think so, OG?
Fuck, dude.
Okay.
Speaking about the Boston Celtics, I just feel like we haven't gotten enough Boston Celtic content, so I just have some more,
Shit
just
is
some
kinda
more
boring,
content.
bro, if you ask us.
There's
Nobody
a Celtic
cares.
stats on Twitter, official statistics count of the Boston Celtics.
Worst
They did
finals
a great
MVP
thread.
numbers ever.
They did a great thread. So leading up to the parade, they had 18 stats, just going off the historical season for banner number 18. So
Yes.
here are some fun facts about the Celtics 2024 championship season.
Can't wait.
The Celtics were the second team in the 4-round best-of-7 era to lose fewer than 4 games in a postseason run. Woo! Boston never lost more than 2 consecutive games all season and never lost more than 1 straight during the playoffs. Dereck White is the first guard in NBA history with 60-plus three-pointers and 20-plus blocks in a single playoff run.
Couldn't tell you how much we didn't give a fuck.
The Celtics only had one wire-to-wire loss the entire season.
So clutch.
Jason Tatum became the 6th player in NBA history to win the NBA title while leading his team in playoff points, rebounds, and assists, joining Larry Bird, Tim Duncan, LeBron, Nikola Jokic, and Hakeem.
Some great company.
He shouldn't be on that list.
The Celtics held a 20-point lead in 50 out of 101 games this season. Boston scored the most points per possession, 1.22, in NBA history during the regular season. And this is my favorite one. The Celtics had the most 50-point wins, 3, 40-point wins, 4, 30-point wins, 10, 25-point wins, 17 in NBA history. Just a legendary season from the Boston Celtics. That's amazing, bro.
Congratulations.
Golly.
Legendary.
Nah, those are some stupid numbers.
20-point leads in 50 out of 100 games is fucking crazy.
Congrats, bro.
Damn.
Do you have it this week in the NBA?
I just made up blindly rankings.
Okay, well, I should go fuck myself.
Do you have one?
Of course. I
Before the
said
show,
I was
he
going.
said-
I wanted to make one because I have fun looking at you guys struggle.
Okay, you want me to go or do you want to go first?
I'm going to go first.
Okay.
All right, here we go. These are blindly ranking these running backs at their prime.
And it's
Dehls, how
running
many
backs
names?
coincidentally too. No,
Let me
I'm
guess.
gonna be
6 names.
Yes, sir. 6 names. First name up, Chris Johnson.
Okay, let's do this smart.
2.
2.
He said, "I'm being smart. I'm being smart here," and he fucks us every time.
How many numbers are there? 6?
There is always.
These are
always
all-time running backs.
That's what he said all time.
Let me start by saying this. There is no LT.
No, you don't have to say all that.
Okay.
But the theme is
Why don't you let
all-time
him
running
say that?
backs.
That's
I don't
easier
want
for
to
us.
know. That's exactly why. Let's not
You guys
cheat
still
ourselves.
fuck up even when I tell you
He's
that
right.
part.
So this is just all-time.
I just picked 6 running backs at their best.
Okay.
There's,
CJ2K had one of the best
for
seasons I've ever
sure.
seen.
For sure.
No, he actually probably had.
But if this is all time,
There's just so many
Is
potential
it running backs
we
from
have.
all different time frames?
Like
or is it
90s?
post 2000s?
Post is nothing before 2000.
Okay.
Nothing before 2003.
All
really.
right, 2.
I mean, Adrian Peterson,
Yeah, that's the
Yes.
first name that came
Of course
to
it's
mind.
AP. That's 1.
Jamal Charles, or Chris Johnson.
You can make the argument for either, but I probably would lean Jamal.
I mean, you could like, even current guys like
I'm
Derrick
just letting
Henry.
it be known.
That's true.
We've gotten fucked over the first name every single time.
I'm just
leaning
saying,
2.
3's not crazy.
We always go 3. We literally always go 3
or 4.
I'm leaning 2. I will leave to you guys.
You know what? Drew says we never do it his
let
way.
him take the lead.
Let him take the lead this one.
Number 2.
All right.
All right. Chris Johnson is number 2. Next name up, Marshawn Lynch.
Okay. I have a number in mind.
Is Marshawn at his best not better than CJ?
He is. He is. I would rather Marshawn.
Peak for peak, I would rather have Chris Johnson.
Chris Johnson had
to
a
be
better
fair-
year.
all right,
He had
3.
a better year.
3.
Okay.
Marshawn at 3.
Okay. Next name up, Adrian Peterson.
Number 1.
That's 1.
Easy. That's the easy. I don't care what 4, 5, 6 is. We have our top 3.
Next name up, Jamal Charles.
Okay, that's fine. Number 4.
Okay. You guys are cooking. You guys are doing good. Next name up, Arian Foster.
6.
We only have 5 and 6 left.
Correct. 6.
We could get a better name than Arian Foster.
I think so
I think
too.
so too.
All right, you guys did a good job this time, man. I'm proud of you guys. I mean, you see how when you take charge,
They
it looks-
disrespect
it looks
my name,
better?
but I'm gonna wait to talk my shit after this name.
I got you. Final name, Steven Jackson.
Okay, Aaron Foster is definitely better than Steven Jackson. Steven Jackson's not a bad ball player in his own right. I'll live with that at 5.
I just always want the top, as long as the top 3 is pretty.
So
4, 5, 6,
your
get a little
final
money.
list: AP at 1, Chris Johnson at 2, Marshawn at 3, Jamal Charles at 4, Steven Jackson at 5, Foster at 6.
Let me say
list.
this. If we would have put CJ2K at 3, I still think we would have been okay because we would have put Marshawn at 2.
You definitely
would have
would've
put
been
AP at 1. Either which way, I think our list was good.
I agree.
Great job, boys. All right. Ironically
That
enough,
was your best one by far.
yeah, that was our best one for sure. I really feel like my thunder was robbed from me because
Now he violated.
I also did a blind
I'm
ranking.
supposed to fucking know you
I
did.
also
No,
did
before
run-
the
I
show,
did.
he said, "Rib, do you have it this week in the NBA?" You said no.
Okay.
And Drew said, "Okay, let me cook up a blind." We actually didn't start the show for another 5 minutes,
So I could do
Drew
it.
had to look up names.
He also had one. So what's the problem there?
But it's just we knew about Drew's.
Oh,
We didn't know
That
about
was it.
Joel's.
Yes, we didn't know about Joel's.
Anyhow,
So you had running backs.
Yes, I actually do have running backs.
I'm sorry, but
Mine specific.
Listen, TikTok won't know. 2 weeks apart.
We're on the same wavelength. If you think about it, because I didn't even think.
No, I didn't say out loud. I'm doing running backs. I did, Riv.
No,
I didn't remember that.
I didn't remember that either.
Okay.
See, look,
You said out loud you were doing running backs?
He did not say out loud he was doing running backs.
I didn't hear it.
Nobody heard that.
I knew for a fact he was in a blind ranking.
I knew blind ranking for sure.
I said I did running backs. Some of them are.
What do we got? 6?
No, I have 5 because I don't.
Sucks.
You know what? Should I do 6 in spite of this fuck? No, I do have 6 names, but I have 5.
Why
So
do you have 6
we're gonna.
names if we're only doing 5? Does that make sense?
I want to pick to see which name I want to choose. You know.
Oh, so he's gonna violate.
Little spontaneity.
That's
Should've
not,
just
no.
had 6.
You got to have 5 names.
To be fair, the last name I could go one any which way that I want. Truthfully.
Let's do it.
All right. So this is blindly
Let
ranking.
me take the lead.
Go for it.
This is blindly
This
ranked.
is my debut.
We gotta do the intro.
I just want to let y'all know this is my debut, and I'm
You
excited.
got it.
Let's do it.
This is blindly ranking 2010s RBs. First name up, Ray Rice.
5.
He's last. He could be last.
I'm cool with that.
Last. Okay, interesting. Next name, Ahmad Bradshaw.
Fuck.
He's a
4.
Super Bowl champion. I could be fine with 4.
Yeah, I'm
I
cool
guess
with 4.
okay. Yeah, 4.
All right, next name, Jamal Charles.
Here we go.
2.
Or 1. I'm just saying the names he's throwing out there.
I
This could
understand,
be
but
the
2
best.
is a safe balance
It is.
because maybe we'll get one better. But he has 6 names. He's a fucker.
Yeah.
No, I only have 5.
Oh, okay, it's 5.
I've already decided.
Ugh. We could go 1. 1 to be safe.
You're leading. I just want to throw it out there just off the 2 first names we've heard.
We're bad as shit.
Yeah, I mean, I won't say bad, but just
Well,
not
the drop off
upper
from
echelon.
Jamal
Yeah.
to Ahmad Bradshaw is kind of crazy. But we could get one in his tier,
Yeah.
which could sway us.
Could get Derrick Henry. Could get
If we get Derrick,
P,
we're
could
fine.
get-
Let's go 2.
Okay. Yeah, you're leading. Yeah.
All right, next name up, Matt Forte.
3.
Calm 3. Matt Forte is really
yes.
good.
Yeah,
All right.
that's a 3.
Last name, Eddie Lacy.
Should have had him at 1.
Eddie Lacy is hilarious. He undoubtedly is 1 now. he fixed that last minute.
The 5
He did.
I was violating with any 3. Eddie Lacy, Trent Richardson, Melvin Gordon's actually really good. So
Richardson would have
If we're doing this like after knowing the names, I think
Eddie
one is
Lacy
Jamal
is last.
Charles.
putting Ray Rice last off rip was shocking.
I just was
I
expecting.
thought you were
some
setting
more
tone
hitters.
with the
Yeah.
low bar and then going up.
Once you guys said 5 Ray Rice, I said, this is going to be fun. But go ahead.
Ray Rice is 3. Number 4 is Bradshaw. Number 5 is Eddie Lacy. And number 2 is who we get?
Forte.
Forte.
And
yeah,
then Jamal
Matt
is
Forte.
cleanly 1.
Yeah, that'll be the list.
I agree. But I figure, get a little funky names in
Shout out to
there.
Matt Forte, Jet Legend.
Matt Forte was actually a bucket. That's why I put
So
him in
fun.
there.
He was pretty dope.
Before we get on to the next topic, I read an article from Yahoo Sports about Michael Jordan.
Oh, I saw that shit.
And what this article was about, a lot of people are using this article as fuel to like diminish
Help
Michael
the GOAT
Jordan.
debate.
What it was is that his 1988 Defensive Player of the Year was called into question. And the reason why it was called into question, a writer from Yahoo Sports named Tom Haberstroh was doing the research behind it, wrote an article for it. He basically went into detail about how in the 80s and 90s of the NBA, home stat keepers inflated subjective stats for star players.
They still do it now.
So
Jaren Jackson?
rebound. No, well, people validated Jaren Jackson Jr.'s. It's harder to do.
did
Yeah,
they? Oh, I didn't know that.
It's harder to do now because of all the oddballs that we got on the game now. But back then it was a huge problem. So rebounds, assist numbers, steals, blocks.
Right.
Sometimes they would be inflated. And Michael Jordan in his DPOY year, there was a big discrepancy between his home and road statistics. He led the league in steals with 259, and he led all guards in blocks with 131. The next closest in blocks was Oscar Robertson with 69. So here is the discrepancy between his home stats and his road stats. At home, Jordan averaged 4 steals and 2.1 blocks per game. On the road, he averaged 2.1 steals and 1.2 blocks per game. Michael Jordan's home versus away disparity in stocks is the largest of any DPOY ever since 82-83 when the award was first founded, and it's a 182% difference. Now, I think with this, people are using this to call Michael Jordan in question, but this is more so a problem with the NBA because people have went back and looked at footage. Like if you look at Shaquille O'Neal's 15 block game in 1993, he only had 10, but they counted it as 15. And what these stat keepers would do is that a steal is if you take possession from a team. if Michael Jordan would poke the ball out of bounds, they would credit him with the steal.
They do that in our league.
And that's what they counted as a steal. So they found 6 full game tapes from Jordan's DPOY year. And in these games, they found that the box score counted 59 steals off of 41 live ball turnovers. And they added on 18 excess steals to the Bull stat sheet. And Jordan happened to have 16 more steals than what was actually watched on tape. If you go to the NBA YouTube channel, there's a highlight reel from Jordan's 10 steal game. And if you actually go watch that in full, he only had 6 at most. So these guys back then, these stat keepers, they would inflate stats, and they're making this about Jordan, but I think this is just something that happened in the league back then. And if I'm looking at one player that I think benefited the most from it, it's probably John Stockton, because his assist numbers are so far ahead of everybody's career all-time wise. And there was somebody in the article that this writer mentioned that in like 95, he was an up-and-coming statistician that wanted to work for the NBA, and they all had a meeting, and they watched some tape from John Stockton, and assists that he thought were clearly not assists, they were crediting those assists to John Stockton. And basically any 50-50 play that could have swung away, they would give the star players the benefit of the doubt in those situations. And I thought that it was interesting because the league's not perfect. I don't think this should be like a stand on anybody's legacy, but this is something that happened back in the day, and it's hard to correctly keep all the stats. And it kind of makes you question the history of the NBA, especially back then. Like, Wilt's 100-point game is something that is questioned often because there's no film of it. And I think it is right to be skeptical on this stuff because you could get away with a lot back then.
Especially steals, assists, like 100 points, you got to get into the basket. That's kind of black and white. But I also think it just added to like the lore of the NBA when there wasn't no internet, there wasn't no league pass. You had to be in Chicago to watch the Bulls. You had to be in New York to watch the Knicks outside of the couple primetime games I'm sure they got every season. I think that's also why the NBA Finals has kind of like fallen off for people, or we see like a ratings decrease too, because just think about like 10 years ago when like you didn't have streaming, so you didn't have these different websites you could go on to illegally stream the games or just watch your favorite teams. Like today, there's just so much access to these teams that even the great teams like the Boston Celtics, it's like a lot of people are just like, well, I'm able to watch them the regular season. I already know I'm going to get in the finals. I don't really got to tune in. Back in the day, in the 80s and 90s, it's like, holy shit, this is probably my first time all season if I live in California to watch Michael Jordan. So I think just it added to kind of the hype they were giving these players. Like, we want Michael Jordan to be the best player. We want John Stockton to be the best passer. So we're going to give them these 50-50
They used to do
chances.
coke in the locker room. The 80s was crazy, bro. Like,
80s basketball was pretty crazy.
They used to play poker and shit back there. Yeah.
I'll say this. I respect the heads that went back and watched the game to really get full context.
Nick Wright was a part of it.
I'm not surprised about it at all. But even still, his stats on the road were amazing.
Yeah.
To average over one of either of those stats is impressive in and of itself. He averaged 2 steals and over a block as a guard. That's insane. Obviously, the disparity's ridiculous, and it shows obvious fudging, but
he was still great.
He was still amazing. And we're still talking about the top 2 player all time at the absolute minimum. I don't even think that minimizing this season of his is in the grand scheme really going to impact anything. Although a lot of people do credit that DPOY and hold it over LeBron severely, even though we see now, ironically, Michael Jordan was definitely benefited and helped to win his DPOY. LeBron was screwed. Like, very blatantly screwed, where Marc Gasol wasn't even a first-team All-NBA defender, and he was the one that brought home the trophy. So, in that regard, that's kind of the argument, but all in all, Jordan was still one of the best guard defenders this game's ever seen, and the numbers still on the road.
Defender.
Ever?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you meant player. I bet.
Mm-hmm. No. Obviously, he's the best guard ever, but as a defender,
that's probably a few better than him.
Yeah, but he's still one of the best ever. Still point blank period. He is still one of the best guard defenders ever. He still should be amazing, or still should be considered amazing.
I might put Drew Holiday over him.
The importance of
put him over there. Would you put him over him?
Drew Holiday over Michael Jordan on ball defense.
Just as an on ball guard defender. Caruso, conversations there. That brother,
You know,
right there.
Did you see what I just sent you guys?
No.
I put the poll on Twitter. Who would you rather?
Caruso or Gobert?
Rudy Gobert or Caruso?
Who's winning?
It's close.
Well, people hate Gobert on Twitter.
They do.
But I've gotten a lot of responses. Rudy. Good amount of votes. Caruso.
You know, the importance of this DPOY was that it now made Michael Jordan the only player to win the scoring title in DPOY in a year, which is something that LeBron could have done, but he never did.
He didn't win the scoring title that year, if I'm not mistaken.
Michael Jordan? No, MVP and DPOY.
Yes.
No, he won the scoring title.
No, LeBron, the year that he was going to win DPOY and MVP and Finals MVP, all that.
No, that helped because MJ won everything that year. All-Star MVP, steals leader, scoring title.
If I'm not mistaken, I think that was the year Melo had won.
Yeah.
Yes.
So this doesn't take away from Michael Jordan's greatness at all. But, you know, to become one of the first players in NBA history to do something that now you look back and it wasn't done the correct way. But there are media voters from back then that feel like even if the stats were inflated, they would have still voted for Michael Jordan just because I think the second option was like Hakeem and Larry Bird and Mark Eaton.
A lot of people say Hakeem should have won that year.
Yeah, that's what people have said. The importance of this season was that this was the year after that Michael Jordan was pissed off that he didn't win Defensive Player of the Year. And he wanted to be recognized as the best defensive player because he had lost in the playoffs the year before, and people just said he was a scorer, that he wasn't an all-around player. So he made it a goal of his to win DPOY this year. And, you know, maybe the discrepancy, you can chalk it up to him just being that much better at home. You know, there's probably a little bit in play there, but even if you take away like the excess stats that he had, he was still clearly like one of the best steal getters in the league, one of the best shot blocking guards in the league. Interesting tidbit, the statistician for the Bulls, his name was Bob Rosenberg. He was the stat keeper for the Bulls from 65 to 2023.
Damn.
So he's been with the Bulls organization for his entire life.
60 years.
And he would signal to Michael Jordan in games how close he was to a triple-double. So if he was like 2 rebounds away, he would go like this to Michael Jordan.
People still do that now?
I don't know if people still do it now, but he would do
like
that.
You can just look up though and see points.
I feel like when you in the sideline, like or like you get a timeout, somebody like just hit, yo, you 2 away, or like yo, you about to get a triple double, you about to get 40.
And there was this article from Scottie Pippen where he talked about it, and he said that they would go to Michael Jordan and they would say that we take care of you, like we're gonna take care.
And
of you.
I also saw Scottie, because Scottie loves to talk about Michael Jordan any chance he can get. He said that there were times where I would poke the ball. I'm the one causing the steal, but Jordan would pick it up and they would credit him with the steal. Which obviously that's not how it goes. I don't believe a
thing Scottie Pippen says.
Why?
Because he's a liar.
Is he?
Yeah.
How?
Because he said he has changed his GOAT opinion probably 8 times in the past 10 years.
Okay.
He went from LeBron's the GOAT to no, Jordan's the best there ever is, to no, LeBron's the GOAT, to now MJ, I hate you, Jordan's the GOAT, to oh no, LeBron's the GOAT again. It's like, bro, when are you gonna just like
is that
stand
lying, or is it just he has a differencing opinion every time?
I don't know.
Pick a side.
It seems like lying to me. You know?
I don't know. That's not something. I feel like this conversation right here is something you can lie about. That if I lied that I poked the ball out.
I think it's realistic that Scottie could have forced some steals because he mentioned how there were only 2
I just can't
years.
Believe what he's saying, especially with the way he talks about MJ. It's like weird. I don't know. It's a weird. Who
would you say is a better defender, Scottie or Jordan?
Scottie.
Yeah, okay.
There were only 2 seasons where Scottie had more steals per game than Jordan. Out of the 9 they played together, so in 7, Jordan had more steals than him.
Yeah, Jordan was. Scottie just had a little bit more size, so he could do more.
Top 10 ever.
Really?
Defensive
LeBron or Scottie?
Scottie.
Confidently?
I'm watching the video. Yeah, sure, I guess. As confident as I can be, it's fucking LeBron. So, how
I respect the honesty.
Yeah, how confident can I be?
Kawhi or Scottie?
Kawhi. But Kawhi over LeBron.
I agree with that. Yeah. I don't know if I agree with
Kawhi over both.
Yes.
Kawhi, Scottie, LeBron.
Where's Jaylen Brown?
That's a good fucking question.
No, the fuck it is not.
It's not.
Kawhi, damn. Kawhi, listen, man. Kawhi at his best is like really high for me. So, but big men are before all of these guys. So, like Hakeem and Bill Russell and shit.
That's why it's Gobert over Caruso.
They anchored the most important part of the game, defensively.
Riv, you asked earlier how I'm doing, and I'm doing pretty great because the start of the NFL season is upon us soon. We have 2 months into the NFL season.
You did say that.
And
you asked him at the very beginning.
And next week, we're going to preview the AFC North and AFC South. That was what was voted on Twitter. Voted. Yes, I think it's great. AFC North, you can argue one of the best divisions. AFC South, Texans in there, one of the most hyped up teams. That's going to be great.
We all got some agendas going on at this table for those divisions.
So I want to give a little sneak peek because we got a Bills topic in here, but it shouldn't be too long. But I want to give a sneak peek for the AFC North and just where your guys' heads are at between the Bengals and the Ravens. And who do you just feel more confident in going into next season?
I have a question. Why is it just... You know me. Why is it just Bengals versus
We're the
Ravens?
Browns.
I'm just asking. Why is it
We're the Steelers.
No, fuck no. But why are the division? Why is it just?
Because you don't know what version of Deshaun Watson you're getting, and right now
you do know. No matter what version you're gonna get, the Browns are gonna show up.
They didn't show up in the wild card game.
Well, they showed up. We're talking about regular
they got
season.
bent over and plowed.
And on the road, they had bad defensive splits.
You sure you want to go down?
No, they actually did. They had horrible splits.
Wait, hold on. Because
remember that Colts game?
If I remember correct,
hold
on, wait. Because if I remember correctly, didn't the Browns bend over the Bengals week 1?
Yeah, that doesn't change my statement.
And didn't the Bengals not make the playoffs?
Oh shit,
they did.
Oh, okay.
So
Deshaun got hurt.
Oh wait!
Shit! He's cooking.
Then the second quarterback got hurt. Oh wait a minute! Then the third. Then the third quarterback got hurt. Then Nick Chubb got hurt. Wait a minute! Everybody kept getting hurt.
He's frying.
The Browns were built on an elite defense. The Bengals are built on Joe Burrow. Please help us.
We're not going to pretend like Joe Flacco didn't come in and cook up.
With Amari
came in cooked up.
This is good. So you think the Browns are in this conversation? Would they?
They should always be in this conversation.
So who's the team you're most confident in the AFC North?
Oh, most confident? The Ravens. The Ravens. I am the most confident in.
And number 2 would be the Bengals or the Browns.
Ooh, that's a conversation.
Is he gonna get spicy?
Listen, man. All I'm saying is this. I'm gonna let Dehls and you go because you guys have the most stake in this Bengals versus Ravens question. All I'm saying is because I know. The only person that really doesn't show them respect at this table is Dehls. He's a big hater of the Browns. They
didn't win a playoff game.
The Jets haven't won one in years.
What does that have to do with anything?
So what are we doing?
You were all high money on the Browns, and they got smoked in the first.
They made
game.
the playoffs.
It was a great season for them. I'm not taking anything away from them.
You are.
You think they're going to go to the Super Bowl or some shit?
What the hell? Why does everything have to be Super Bowl?
Why does everything have to do with the Jets?
Why does everything have to be Super Bowl?
Why does everything have to do with the Jets?
Because I just feel like you're
throwing the Jets are fucking ass.
The Jets were random, just brought up. So why did I bring up the Super Bowl?
You threw a jab at the Browns. You hate on the Browns. It's a fact.
I don't think I hate on the Browns.
It's a fact.
What did I hate on?
You said they weren't that good.
Okay.
They won 11 games.
They proved me wrong.
Okay,
do it again.
That's all I needed to hear. Yeah. You said they proved.
I don't think I was sitting here when they made the playoffs saying they're ass.
That's all I needed to hear.
Mid-season, I thought they were mid.
Well,
especially when Deshaun went down.
End of their season,
they were mid with him.
Looked like they were mid.
And also, Joe Flacco kind of changed everything, which didn't see coming.
You told me Dorian.
God forbid.
Robin.
God forbid Joe Flacco.
What's it, Thompson?
DTR.
Yep.
DTR. You were high on him, man.
I said he was going to start. All I said was he's going to start.
But all I'm saying is, Joel, to bring all this around.
You want more respect on the Browns.
I just want a little bit more respect. They showed y'all last year that yes, their home road splits were insane. Defensively, they weren't good on the road. But they still managed to get some wins. They lost all their quarterbacks throughout the year. They lost the heart and soul of their offense in Nick Chubb. Week 2? And they still made the playoffs. That's a lot to overcome. I understand the Bengals. They lost their quarterback. I get that. That's a big thing. But I just feel like the Bengals always get this pass where, they lost Joe Burrow. That's a big thing. Well, the Browns lost 3 to 4 quarterbacks, had to pick up a quarterback that was sitting on the couch probably the week before, and they lost their running back, and they still persevered.
I think
what pass is given to the Bengals though? I mean,
I don't know.
The only pass is that Joe Burrow got hurt. That's the only pass they give him.
Yeah, but like the past 2 seasons, 2 of the past 3 years, they made the AFC Championship game.
We don't care about the 2 of the past 3 seasons.
I know, but I'm saying like in the
you're
past,
only as good as your last.
In the past couple of years, the only pass that's been given was Joe Burrow got hurt. That's it.
Well, I'm talking about in this
conversation. Can we
conversation.
also include that in those 2 seasons, Lamar was also injured?
They don't talk about that.
Right? That's where this debate is to me.
Yes.
Who's healthy?
Correct.
Is Burrow going to be healthy?
Agreed.
Is Lamar going to be healthy?
I agree.
Because what we've
last,
seen is if the quarterbacks are healthy, whichever quarterback is healthy is probably going to win this division, is probably going to win a playoff game. Because last year, Joe Burrow gets banged up. The Bengals, I wouldn't say fall apart, but don't make the playoffs. Lamar Jackson stays healthy. Number 1 seed, MVP, lose to the AFC Championship game to the Kansas City Chiefs. The Bengals 2 years ago, Lamar Jackson is injured. They go to the AFC Championship game, also lose to the Kansas City Chiefs. The year before, Lamar's injured, go to the Super Bowl. So whichever quarterback is healthy is the team I'll have more confidence in. In a world where both quarterbacks are healthy, I think it's a tough question because on one side for the Bengals, you're losing your offensive coordinator. Of course, you still have sorry, head coach, blanking on his name.
John Harbaugh?
No.
Or Zach Taylor.
Thank you, Zach Taylor. You still have Zach Taylor, who's an offensive mind, but you're bringing in Dan Pitcher now as the new offensive coordinator. The only thing I've seen or heard from Joe Burrow is that they're using a lot more motion, a lot more window dressing. They were bottom 13 in the league last year in terms of use of motion in the NFL. So I think that's something that could definitely be brought to the game, to their team specifically, because we see the top defense or the top offenses in the NFL use a ton of motion. It's a lot easier to get your pass catchers open. It's easier to confuse the defenses. It's easier to see what coverages the defenses are in. And I'm also excited to see Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and these guys be lined up differently. That's another thing Joe Burrow said, is that these receivers using on the inside and on the outside. Because I think although we say how great it is to have an X receiver, the easiest way to get that X receiver the ball is to put him in the slot and force him on nickel corners or linebackers and just giving him more room to work with. Because when you're on the outside, it's a lot easier as a cornerback because you have that sideline kind of being there as an extra defender. When you're in the slot, you can go left, you can go right, you can go straight, you could come back. It's a lot more difficult to guard. And then for the Baltimore Ravens, you lost your defensive coordinator. Mike McDonald goes over to the Seattle Seahawks, who had one of the best defenses in the league last season that really carried you a lot of games. Just thinking about that San Francisco game where you get 4 interceptions on Brock Purdy and dominate. It looks like it's your Super Bowl to lose. And then on the offensive line, they lost 3 starters. So I think there's a lot of questions on both sides of these teams. I still think the floor of the Ravens is higher. Lamar Jackson wins 70-75% of his games. You have Todd Monken there for another year. And I think defensively, you still have basically all the talent you had last season. You're just moving on from defensive coordinator. With that being said, I still think the Browns fit here somewhere. I think what they showed last year, going through quarterback after quarterback after quarterback, losing Nick Chubb, losing all of that, and still making the playoffs. I can't sit here and throw any shade towards the Cleveland Browns. As long as they get decent quarterback play, they'll be in this conversation with the Bengals, with the Ravens. But the ceiling is the only question I have with them. Are they going to get quarterback play that's good enough to match Lamar Jackson any given week, to match Joe Burrow any given week? Because I know with this defense, they're going to be great. But can Deshaun Watson have those games, have those moments that take you from a playoff team to an AFC Championship Super Bowl caliber team?
For me, it comes down to this, and it's pretty similar to Joel's thought process, because that's kind of the only thought process to have, in my opinion. You saw the last 2 seasons, well, 2 of the last 3 seasons, Lamar Jackson was injured. In those 2 seasons that he was injured, Cincinnati took full control of that and took that opportunity and did make it to the AFC Championship in both of those seasons, one going to the Super Bowl and, of course, one falling short to the Chiefs. This past season, we just saw Joe Burrow get injured, and, of course, Cincinnati didn't make it, but Lamar Jackson was healthy, had his best season yet, you could argue, went to the AFC Championship, fell short again, similarly like the Bengals did the year prior to the Kansas City Chiefs. In those 2 seasons that Cincinnati went to the AFC Championship and ended up winning the division, the Ravens were in first place at the time that Lamar Jackson got injured. For me, I trust Lamar Jackson a little bit more for his team. Not that I believe that Lamar Jackson's better than Joe Burrow. I just believe I will go with Joe Burrow personally. I'm always going to take the better passer of the football.
So Herbert's better than Lamar too?
Yes, I would believe that.
Okay.
In this situation, although you did lose Patrick Queen, I still do believe that this is a great defense foundationally. You do lose your DC, of course, McDonald, who's now the head coach of Seattle. You lose Patrick Queen, but in the draft, you go and you bring in Nate Wiggins, which was, in my opinion, one of the best first-round picks that a team did have. You do lose a bunch of offensive linemen, but as long as you have Lamar Jackson, he should be all right to maneuver around that pocket. And, oh, wait, you did also add Derrick Henry, who is in the later half of his NFL career, but will still be very effective.
Especially 13 touchdowns last year.
Especially with Lamar Jackson at quarterback, that's automatically going to be a great run offense. You have Zay Flowers going into year 2. Mark Andrews now comes back. Isaiah Likely was very effective for the Ravens down the stretch after Mark Andrews got injured. And now you could probably run both those guys together. There's hype behind Rashad Bateman. I need to see that to believe it.
Your 4 breakout 5.
But there are 4 weapons on this offense that I trust immensely, plus a very, very sound foundational unit for the defense. Bringing back Madubuike also, that was a huge return for the Ravens. I still believe the Ravens, as a whole, are a better team than the Bengals. But this will be a slugfest all season long. But I think that the Ravens are the team I'm going to give the edge to.
Not only is health a factor, but I think what's a big factor is the road to get there, your pathway.
Yeah.
The Ravens have the 4th toughest schedule in the league. The Browns are right there with them. They have one of the toughest schedules. The Bengals, coming in last in the AFC North, they got the 6th easiest schedule in the league next year. And that's with Joe Burrow coming back healthy. And I do want to really start this by saying, like, Joe Burrow was phenomenal when he was healthy.
Yeah.
From weeks 5 on, 13 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 106.5 passer rating, 73% completion percentage, and averaged 263 yards per game. And he didn't get to finish that final game against the Ravens, but he led the Bengals down the field against that top-ranked defense, and he threw a touchdown, and that was his final play before his wrist got hurt. There was a 3-week stretch where, although their defense was bad and it ranked terribly all year long, there was a 3-week stretch where they held Seattle to 13 points. They held the 49ers to 17 points. They held Buffalo to 18 points. And I think the biggest reason for their defensive declining was the communication on the back end. Their safeties were young. Dax Hill, first year as a starter. You're going from Jesse Bates and Von Bell, 2 veterans, and Jesse Bates, the best safety in the league, to now unproven guys who they have to learn the defense. They have to communicate it to the other players on the defense, and they allowed the most explosive plays in the NFL because of that. But you bring back Von Bell, you add Geno Stone, who was taken from the Ravens, and I know some Ravens fans are up and down with Geno Stone because he's not the best tackler in the open field, but man, is he a ball hawk, and man, does he read the field and coverages well. He was the runner-up for interceptions this past season. He is a playmaker, and that's going to be missed on the Ravens. They lost a lot of depth on defense, man. Jadeveon Clowney, Patrick Queen, Geno Stone, Rockison, Ronald Darby, and then 3 starters on the offensive line they lost, in Zeitler, Simpson, and Morgan Moses. I think their offense will still be fine because Lamar Jackson gives you such a big room, such a big margin for error because of how much you have to account for. But these are 3 starters that are being lost. And their defense, while I love Marlon Humphrey, I love Brandon Stevens, who broke out last year, their secondary is elite. It does feel like their depth has just taken a shot. They were able to play a lot of different guys, keep a lot of different guys fresher, and now they don't have that luxury. And Mike McDonald, man, we can't overlook how young of a genius he is calling defensive plays and game planning. It's a big reason why I think the NFC West low-key is one of the tougher divisions, because Seattle's defense now gets much better. And who did Brock Purdy have his worst game against? It was the Ravens-led defense, Mike McDonald calling plays. He, being in that division, is going to make it hard for every offense. And Arizona, I can't sleep on what they're doing because I think they're doing some really good things.
Love that.
So that's a tough division. I feel like the Bengals this year have more to prove because of Joe Burrow coming off that injury, first year really earning that contract that he got, T. Higgins playing on a franchise tag where it was the best of both worlds because the Bengals didn't want to pay him, and T. Higgins had one of his worst career seasons, and he regressed by every metric. He needs a big-time year to get paid, and that means you're getting a T. Higgins that is motivated to play really well. I think they improved the offensive line, the secondary added some veterans, and I'm really expecting Cam Taylor-Britt to take over as one of the best corners in the game. I think he's so great. He doesn't get his credit because the Bengals pass defense is terrible, but he's really somebody that I'm keeping my eye on. I do think that both teams have question marks. The Ravens, you guys have mentioned it. With the Bengals, it's the reliance on one true pass rusher. That's Trey Hendrickson. And how much will their run defense regress not having DJ Reader?
Facts.
These are huge question marks on their defense. They're hoping to have somebody like Miles Murphy step up, who was a first-round pick last year. There are question marks with the Bengals for sure, but I think the easier path and Burrow being healthy and just trusting Lou Anarumo and what he's doing on defense just gives me save that, I think the Bengals have a bounce back year.
I'm with that, man. I think as long as Burrow's healthy, I'm sure they'll bounce back.
For sure.
That 2-3 game stretch against San Francisco, against Buffalo, I mean, he looked like but he was on top of the world.
With the Buffalo Bills, do you think their offense got better without Stefon Diggs, or it's going to get worse?
It's a Joe Brady question as much as it's a Stefon Diggs question.
I think it'll become more dynamic. I don't know about,
it's hard.
Because last year, they had their issues. They struggled out the gate, but they were still one of the best offenses in the league, statistically wise. They finished off the year. But was it bad because Diggs declined or they just wasn't in sync? You know, there was like so many things wrong. Because before that, they were the most high-powered offense in the league. Like back-to-back years, the numbers were crazy. The offense was just juiced up. So it's like now Diggs is gone. You kind of brought in a couple guys who, you know, are underrated or they're not big names. You know, they're kind of small market receivers. And now you're kind of putting into the situation where it's like kind of like how Mahomes was last year, where even Mahomes had Travis Kelce, but he was banged up. Josh doesn't really have that type of guy. So I don't know if it'll be better, but sometimes sharing the sugar is a little bit better than feeding one guy. You know, sometimes having versatility is better than just one dominant receiver and then a couple extras. You know, I think having Shakir, having Curtis, having Kincaid, Dawson Knox is going to be good. You know, I think especially with the way Shakir broke out last year, having more, using the run game more this year is going to be huge. I thought James Cook, aside from his fumbles and drop passes, was really electric. Like when he was on.
Oh, do you believe that?
He was on, huh?
Do you believe that?
Yeah, for sure.
Not a 57 out of 100?
Listen, man, them fumbles and them drops, man, were hurt. But when, like I said, when he's on, when Cook is on and he's on his shit, he's nice.
A dog.
Yeah, so. And then their offensive line pretty much all came back, so they're going to have that. And they had one of the best offensive lines last year. Deion Dawkins had a breakout year. It truly is just about what do you value more. And I think it's probably going to be worse in the sense of watching it or explosiveness, but it'll be more versatile. And that's kind of what you've been asking for in the Josh Allen era. Like, you don't want him to do so much, even though he sometimes does too much when he doesn't need to. So I think it'll be maybe not better numbers-wise, but it'll be a lot less Josh Allen reliant.
More versatile.
Yes.
I say it's difficult because it's an acknowledgement. Stefon Diggs is still, really good at football. But when they went on their run and were their most organized as a football team, Stefon Diggs really wasn't putting up any real explosive performance. If I'm not mistaken, only had one 100-yard performance in the second half of the season. But was that no, that wasn't the Giants game. Giants game, he actually got last
8 games, 349 yards.
And I don't even think he had a 100-yard game in the year.
Which one am I? Because I know to start the season, it was like almost every week 100.
He was going crazy.
But you also may be right, and maybe that's what I'm allowing to cloud my judgment right now. But regardless of that fact, again, we saw the Bills play their best brand and most consistent brand of football when Stefon Diggs was not being wasn't the focal point of the offense. But you come to this season with a little bit more versatility, Khalil Shakir, Curtis Samuel, and now you drafted Keon Coleman. And I think of the skill position players outside of James Cook, the guy that I'm looking forward to seeing the most is Dalton Kincaid, their first-round pick in last year's draft. To me, he's the one that can take the biggest leap. We saw Josh Allen have a really strong connection in his rookie season, but I only anticipate seeing it carry over to year 2, but at an even higher volume. I think that with the speed that the Bills are playing with this season, mixed with Josh Allen's insane arm, mixed with his ability to be a top 3 mobile quarterback in the league, mixed with James Cook, if he can just be, like we've mentioned, more reliable with his hands, we're talking about one of the better offenses in the league, regardless of not having the name of the number 1 receiver. Because Kansas City really doesn't count because they have Travis Kelce. That's the number 1. That will always be the number 1. But we saw them get a job done with pretty average to below average wide receivers. But of course, when you have a great quarterback, they can elevate. Josh Allen is one of those. He's not Mahomes, but he's definitely the second best quarterback in the league, in my opinion. And he's going to be able to rise this offense regardless. And I think that we're still going to see certain players maybe not have 1,000 yards. I think that the one that I feel most comfortable with having 1,000 would be Dalton. But Khalil Shakir can have an 800-yard season, similar with the Samuel. Keon Coleman, hopefully for him, he puts together a solid campaign. To me, that'd be like around 600-700 yards would be on the better end. I'm not sure what I'm anticipating out of Keon immediately out the gates, but they do need a receiver with size, and that would be Keon. So I look for that maybe more so in the red zone, but I think that the Bills will have a very strong offense this upcoming season.
The Bills are putting a lot of pressure on Josh Allen as is, even with Stefon Diggs being a great player.
Yeah.
They're ultra aligned on him. I think what makes it easier is the transition of now having a running game. I think in the second half of the season when Joe Brady took over, they ran the ball effectively. James Cook was one of the better backs in the league. And I think that's what helps them kind of keep defenses on their toes in the pass game. Josh Allen is an alien. He was 5th in EPA per play generated when he was hit or hurried. And this is a guy that could create something out of nothing. I did an interception review on him. Of his 18 interceptions, I counted 12 that were his fault. 6 were not his fault. And of the 12 that I counted that were his fault, there were also some insanely great anticipatory
reads by
gutsy defensive reads where I thought they really fooled Josh Allen, but his over-aggression can get him bit a little bit, and there was no better example of that than the Bengals game. You know, the Bengals game, I thought Joe Burrow outclassed Josh Allen.
Yep.
I still think Josh Allen at his best is better than Burrow, but I feel like Burrow is more consistent and you trust his decision-making on a down-to-down basis because there are times where Josh Allen is a bit over-aggressive, even if I don't think his turnovers are that big of a deal. I think the offense now makes much more sense, though, because of Khalil Shakir, because of Samuel, though they occupy the slot and wide role playing off the ball. And then Keon Coleman could take the Gabe Davis role, and I think Keon Coleman is much more athletic than Gabe Davis. I think he's a much more contested catch receiver than Gabe Davis. And Kincaid, you're hoping that he breaks out. Looking at the Bills pass catchers, Curtis Samuel last year had 613 yards. Shakir has 611. Kincaid has 673. We're at 1,800 yards between them. James Cook had 445 receiving yards. And I'm going to throw in Dawson Knox in here, 186 yards in 11 games. This is about like 2,500 yards. There's a big gaping hole left by Stefon Diggs' presence. And I don't even think it's one guy that has to step up. I think all of these guys have to step up. Mm-hmm. I think Shakir, Samuel, Kincaid all have to be like above 800-yard receivers. And I think they can be.
He had 600 in like 7 games.
He did. Shakir was great. And when we try to predict who's going to break out of this offense, it's hard because all these guys are kind of similar. They're on the same level. And it's really just about who's open most of the time and where Josh Allen is going with the football. But I think this could help Josh Allen in a way just because now he doesn't feel like he has to force the ball somebody's way, where now it feels much more like the receivers are looking at Josh Allen and whatever he says goes, where Stefon Diggs could challenge him more often and kind of throw him off his rhythm a little bit, and with that dynamic they had there.
Yeah, I think Kincaid is in the best position to break out, as you mentioned, Drew. Curtis Samuel, Khalil Shakir, Keon Coleman, all these guys that we mentioned at the wide receiver room, I think they're going to have their days. I think they're going to have their games where we're going to see, Curtis Samuel have 100 yards, Keon Coleman have 2 touchdowns. But I think Dalton Kincaid is going to turn into that number one for Josh Allen. I think we saw it over the stretch last season, or down the stretch, I should say, as he was getting just more familiar with the offense in the NFL game. To me, he's probably the most talented out of all those guys, too, when you combine his size and speed at the tight end position. Just looking at some numbers. So, weeks 1 through 9, this is when Stefon Diggs was Stefon Diggs. He was at the top of his level. The Bills were 3rd in EPA, 1st in success rate, 3rd in dropback EPA. When Diggs was not Stefon Diggs, and he was barely getting the ball, barely getting involved, barely touching 50 yards, 8th in EPA, 8th in success rate, 10th in dropback EPA. Joe Brady took over in week 11, so this is majority with Joe Brady. But I think this question has more to do with Brady than with Stefon Diggs himself. I think you have such a safe baseline having Josh Allen as your quarterback, top 2 quarterback in the league. He could beat you with his arm, with his legs, one of the most talented players we have ever seen. So I know the Bills' offense is going to do more than enough most weeks to win them games. Is Joe Brady the guy to kind of take them over that hump? And I think in years past it's been their defense more than anything, so I'm not going to rely solely on their offense to win them games. But they did make a pretty big decision moving off Ken Dorsey. The offense was great under Ken Dorsey. I mean, numbers-wise and just output-wise, it was still a great offense. But they moved off him, and they moved to Joe Brady. They gave him the full position this offseason. They could have looked elsewhere. They said, no, Joe Brady is our guy. And Joe Brady's failed in the past. I don't think it's always fair because at LSU, when he has a million weapons in Joe Burrow, he looks like the next great thing coming into the NFL. He goes to Carolina with Matt Rule. All of a sudden, he looks like a joke as an offensive play caller. He gets fired. So it's somewhere in between for Joe Brady where he actually ends up. I don't think he's like the most creative genius, just one of the best offensive coordinators in the game, but I don't think he's Adam Gase either. Did you guys see what Le'Veon Bell was tweeting about Adam Gase, by the way? That shit was hilarious. Oh my God. He was tweeting about it saying,
still
like,
thinking about
Adam Gase calling he would call a 2nd and 10 halfback dive, and Darnold would be in the huddle shaking his head, saying to the rest of the players, bro, it was so funny.
I'm crying.
But yeah, I mean, Buffalo, they're going to be great. I think me included have kind of overlook them going to this season. They won the division, 3 years in a row now, 4 years in a row. Josh Allen's still the best quarterback in this division, and they have as good as a roster on paper. I think the Jets have a better roster on paper, but when it comes into trusting every player at their key position, they got it just as much as Miami or as the Jets have, especially when you have that dude leading the helm. So I think losing Stefon Diggs, of course it's going to hurt, because when he was at the top of his game for the first half of the season, they were one of, if not the best offense in the NFL, and we saw that take a hit. But I do think, to Riv's credit and to yours as well, Joel, when you have a more balanced attack, when you're involving James Cook, who's going to get involved a lot in the passing game too, when you have multiple weapons in Curtis and Shakir and Dalton Kincaid and Keon Coleman to kind of keep the defense on its heels, for lack of a better terms, I guess. Like, of course you want that number one dude, but I also think there's something to say having multiple guys that could beat you in different ways. Very reminiscent to what we've seen with the Green Bay Packers this past year, where there's not one number one dude, but you have like 4 or 5 guys that can all beat their man. I think that's very similar to what the Bills have this year.
The last time Stefon Diggs had 100 yards was in Week 6.
Yep, and he had 87 against Miami. That was the last week of the season.
Am I crazy for thinking Shakur could have 1,000?
He could.
It's not nuts.
Like, because when you watched him towards the end of the year, like, I know Kincaid has the talent, and he's probably but when you watched him towards the end, I feel like Shakir was the guy. Like, he was the guy, especially after the catch, breaking tackles in the short route game. Like, he was the guy that was really the most explosive. These dudes need.
It's really crazy because Stefon had 5 games of 100 yards, and they all were within the first 6 weeks.
When he's on, he's
I'll just say Shakir just has to be not more consistent, but a lot of his plays were big plays.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, just looking at his game log, obviously this isn't based on tape or anything, but we're looking at 4 games over 50 yards.
Tough.
But in those games, 92, 57, 115, 105. 4 games? I say 5? Whatever. 4 games over 50. So he had those blow-up games, but in the middle, like, he had games of 24, 47, 12, 0. He only played 50% of snaps, 45, 39. But I think that's going to be similar to what we see this year, where he's going to have 100-yard games. He's going to have games where he only sees 3 or 4 targets.
True.
I'm most excited to watch this defense because I think they got a lot younger, and I think it's going to make them a lot more faster, and I feel like that's where Sean McDermott thrives.
Milano's back.
A question for you guys. How many teams in recent memory can you remember have successfully moved away from an elite receiving option and were still able to get a great or good offense?
Chiefs.
That's the first one that comes to mind.
Patriots, when they moved off Randy Moss.
Yeah, their offense is still really good.
I would count the Patriots. Not that they moved off of one, more so they didn't have an X and they consistently were great.
Are we counting the Green Bay Packers in here?
This year?
Yeah.
Not crazy. I think Jaden Reed is really fucking good, though.
It's just Tay.
And it's Tay. It is Tay.
Yeah.
I think seeing what the Packers have been able to do and the Chiefs, even though the Chiefs had Travis Kelce, and that's always forgotten about, but they had the worst receiving room in the league. I think what the Packers are doing might become something teams copy with how expensive receivers are getting to keep on a year-to-year basis. Well, instead of getting one elite guy, get 5 really good ones.
And
And
the draft.
you spread the sugar. And I feel like the Bills are the prime example this year of a team that is doing that. And we'll see what type of results it
If
yields.
I remember correctly, that year we won the Super Bowl, the Eagles won it, not went. We didn't have an elite receiver.
Zach Ertz was your guy.
Ertz was pretty damn good.
He was good. We had Alshon, we had Zach, but it was like a sharing the sugar type thing. When Wentz was about to win MVP, breaks my heart that he got hurt. We still won though. Nick Foles.
Would you count the Ravens in that, or you would classify Mark Andrews in that elite
You're saying
tier?
move off Hollywood? Or
Well, they had a great offense with Hollywood too.
yeah.
Well, Mark Andrews also did get hurt this season. They were still a pretty prolific offense.
Yeah.
So that's another
I'll
example.
count it, yeah.
And I feel like another team that's going under the radar, the Bills are taking a gamble win on from Stefon Diggs, but the LA Chargers
I was just about to say
with
the Chargers.
Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, because I feel like these teams are now saying, listen, we have elite quarterbacks, and we know if you have an elite quarterback and you have just good enough weapons, they can get you a good offensive
I just
result.
don't know if they have good enough.
The Chargers is the extremest example.
Like Josh Palmer, I think he's underrated. Like, I think he's like a pretty solid wide receiver 3, lad, of course. But outside of that, like, you're getting some really ugly water.
You're still out?
It's if QJ breaks down, he turns into a good receiver. I'm wrong, but based off his rookie year, it's going to be really difficult to do that.
Yeah, the Chargers are the most extreme example because there's not a lot of talent there at all. Where the Bills, you can see that the talent is there.
Were they starting at tight end? Gerald Everett moved off, right?
Yeah, Gerald Everett is on the
Chicago
Bears, I believe.
Who is the starting tight end? The starting tight end for the Chargers is Will Dissly.
God bless.
And
God bless
Hayden
Justin
Hurst
Herbert,
is the second tight end.
Parham still on the squad?
He is. The depth chart is tight end number 1 is Will Dissly, and Hayden Hurst is tight end 2.
Oh man,
I like
God
Will
bless
Dissly.
Herbert.
Shout out.
But I like Will Dissly for like
Herbert, man.
occasional
Good
big
luck,
play.
man.
Will Dissly, fantasy footballers legend.
What was this drop?
It's
like cowboy thing, right?
Something like that. But I remember Will Dissly getting his leg messed
Yeah,
up.
facts. Parham too. Damn, they have a lot of some injury prone.
The end of this show will be our most underrated quarterbacks in the NFL. The topic was top 5, but we talked about this before the show. I couldn't come up with 5. Dehls couldn't come up with 5. I don't know if Riv came up with 5. I know Drew had all 5.
I just feel like because the way how do you view underrated, right? Like, is it what people think?
I'm just thinking public's perception.
Yeah, but that's what I was, and I don't think people underrate a lot of quarterbacks.
I'll also say they didn't have 5 because they didn't want to say Tua is underrated.
I don't think Tua is underrated.
He's underrated because I have a guy right here who tells me every single time we talk about him he's bad.
I have two.
Well, I don't think you have guys like Joel.
I don't think he's bad.
You have Dolphins fan who think he's like a top 5 quarterback.
I don't think he's a top 5 quarterback.
Yes, you do.
No, I don't.
Top 10.
Hey,
I have 2. I have 2 names.
2?
Yes.
For most underrated quarterbacks?
At least I got the 4.
All right, let me name him. Kyler Murray, most definitely.
I think everybody should have Kyler Murray.
Yes, he's easily on this list. Next name.
Purdy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Brock Purdy.
Yeah. Purdy's definitely underrated.
I'll follow it up. Those are 2 of my names. Kyler Murray, Brock Purdy. I think Kyler has gotten overlooked. Number 1.
People think he ass.
Because of the stupid fucking video game shit. So people just think that, like, he doesn't know ball or, like, you have to force him to love football. You can't go out there and do the things he's doing in the NFL if you're not studying tape. Like, of course, athletically, he could just beat guys, but he's a really good player. And Brock Purdy, I do think, is a bit underrated. I don't think... Not that we've done it recently, but like the Jimmy Garoppolo type thing. Well, you could just plug in XYZ quarterback. You can plug in a lot of quarterbacks to what San Francisco has going for them, and they'd be able to succeed. But I also think Brock Purdy was tremendous. I think he's a great processor. I think he's more mobile than people give him credit for. I think he throws with great touch and anticipation. He doesn't have the biggest arm. He's not making insane throws off platform that we see Josh Allen and Mahomes make. That's fine. But I think for what he's asked to do, he does it and then some. So that's why I think he's underrated.
Can I ask you a question? How many quarterbacks can you plug into Cincinnati and they'll still operate?
I can tell you there's maybe one quarterback you can plug into Cincinnati and they make the Super Bowl. The year they made it.
And it's Mahomes?
Yeah, that's it.
I didn't ask that.
Yeah, but that...
Just one?
I think Josh can too.
Josh, I don't know.
All I asked was just operate.
You don't
went
know?
Extreme and went Super Bowl.
That year, Joe Burrow took one of the worst offensive lines... Was that
the 13 seconds year?
That was yes.
Josh was fucking amazing that year.
Josh was.
Josh Allen is amazing.
That year though, that was the perfect
Here's
game.
the thing. Burrow played exceedingly well against Tennessee. I think that was 375. Didn't throw a touchdown, but had a very clutch throw to end the game to Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase was wide open. That being said, you have to hit the throw, and that's exactly what Joe Burrow did. Not minimizing. Stop laughing. The game versus the Raiders.
It was really good.
Got blessed, though, with that whistle, no whistle to T. Higgins touchdown. And then
they also had a chance to win it right at the end of the red zone.
They did. And then, of course, the Raiders couldn't clutch up right at the very end. The game versus the Chiefs.
It was really good.
Good game.
I'm throwing Josh Allen in that mix.
Easy. I mean, you can.
Super
I'm not mad at that.
Maybe.
I mean, Josh Allen
think Herb could do it?
Herbie could have done it.
Herb's in that conversation.
I mean, he blew a
I'll tell you what,
27-0 lead.
He didn't blow it.
Justin Herbert is
Did he
another
not have
name.
offensive possessions?
Lamar?
He did blow it.
Justin Herbert's
Technically,
another
he did.
name I have on my list is underrated. I think it's
What'd you
very
say?
Justin
Herbert?
Herbert.
Me too.
He's someone that to me is so stamped top 5. Like that top 5 for me really cannot move. When you're looking at Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, Herbert, and Lamar. Like those top 5 right now to me, it's going to be real difficult to add
Polar
anyone
bear in
into that
Arlington,
mix.
Texas.
Who? Polar bear? Fucking casual.
I think the polar bear might be Herbert.
But Justin Herbert has all the arm
black guy.
talent.
You are
He's got the
racist.
mobility. He's got there's nothing Herbert is missing as a quarterback. And people, they clown on him because he doesn't win, because he hasn't won a playoff game. You blow the 27-0 lead. If we're doing a draft of NFL quarterbacks, there's 3, maybe 4 dudes.
He goes 4.
I think there's a lot of GMs that are taking him over Lamar Jackson. I think there's even probably GMs that take him over Joe Burrow because of his injury history.
So he goes 3.
That's not disrespect to those guys. But if you're starting a franchise right now, Herbert is one of the top guys. I'm not taking like no respect to Matt Stafford, CJ Stroud, like all these dudes you see poked over him. I don't see that.
Respect Staffy.
You know, Rick, to answer your question,
talk to me. That was just genuinely asking.
I don't think the Bengals are taken seriously if Jared Goff is their quarterback.
Yeah.
That's fair. Okay.
And I feel like that's probably the lowest I would go without trying to disrespect anybody else.
I respect that.
But, you know, like...
Kirk Cousins, he makes it?
No.
Stafford makes it.
Stafford makes it.
Okay, we're here then. We're getting something.
I think Stafford's amazing. But Joe Burrows is one of the only reasons. There's a lot of reasons. The Bengals are a great team.
Make it, really?
No, I don't think so. Joe Burrow is one of the reasons why we look at the Bengals and we say, okay, that's actually a legit team.
Absolutely.
It's because
of course.
Yeah, for sure.
So my underrated quarterbacks, number 4 is Trevor Lawrence for me. And I don't, on my list I don't feel good about having him so low, but because he could be higher. I did rank them, yeah. 15 missed touchdowns where he threw the ball, not the easiest of catches, but definitely catchable passes where just a slither or something went wrong. I mentioned it on a previous show. He had the worst drop rate of any quarterback over the last 3 seasons, and he was number 1 in EPA lost to drop passes this past season. And I don't think the personnel this past season for Trevor Lawrence and the play calling and how they use the personnel made much sense because Calvin Ridley is 6 foot, maybe like a $190. He's not a physical outside receiver, but that's where he lined up most of the time. That's why whenever Zay Jones was in the lineup, Calvin Ridley had blow-up games because Press Taylor finally used him how he was supposed to be used. I think now Trevor Lawrence has a offense that makes much more sense with Brian Thomas being a physical receiver and you still having Christian Kirk there and Gabe Davis now being the X that is just going to line up and go on goal routes and posts and things of that nature. This past year, Trevor Lawrence was actually more accurate than he was last year in 2022. And I feel like people didn't take any progressive thing from Lawrence's season this past year because of the box score stats. But he really showed that he can carry an offense that really has a lot of falling parts around it. Number 3, I had Geno Smith. Just because Geno Smith...
You're a Smithian.
I'm not sure how people view him.
Undoubtedly Smithian.
I feel like people still view him in the lens of being a journeyman spot starting quarterback.
You think?
So, kind of like a Jacoby Brissett.
You think so?
I don't think so.
I think people respect Geno more than you believe.
I feel like
I think Trevor gets disrespected far more.
I think he could because he's more of a name, right? He has generational prospect tag to him. But with Geno Smith, I don't think anybody really appreciated the season he had last year. It's a drop off from he had 30 and 11 in 2022 to in 2023 he had 20 and 9, but he led the league in game winning drives with 4 fourth quarter comebacks. The defense for the Seahawks was horrendous.
Bad.
There were 6 in most allowed pressures. He played with a terrible offensive line. And there are games here and there that he could have won. Like you look at the Dallas Cowboys game. I thought the Seahawks were robbed. Based on the play call in that game, the things that Dallas got away with, if that was in Jerry World, I thought Seattle got robbed in that game. And then his other game was against Cincinnati where he was in the red zone. He couldn't complete a comeback. But we're talking about a guy that really put Seattle's offense on his back and had to make a lot of tough throws that we're only asking the top echelon quarterbacks to make. Seattle was giving all of that to Geno and telling him to make those throws. And he made them. And I feel like he has the talent to where he's one of the better starters. I like
Geno a lot.
I don't think he's just a spot starter. I think he's legitimately, if you have that guy in the right parts, he can win you multiple playoff games. I think he's that good. And then, like you guys mentioned, Kyler Murray. I think he's number 2.
Glad you're showing him respect.
Yeah, Kyler Murray, people don't mention this, but last year when he was inserted into the lineup, they had the second best rushing offense, according to EPA per rush.
James Conner was amazing.
He was number 1 in like forced tackles. He was amazing. That was up from 13th before Kyler was inserted to the lineup. You're taking a 11 jump, really. 11 jumps in a ranking because of his presence. And now with Marvin Harrison Jr. in town, I feel like that just unlocks their offense even more.
Trey McBride, drafted Trey Benson.
Yeah, that's why I'm really high on the Cardinals. I think their offense will be really good. The defense is really what you have to sell me on because there's so much unproven players there. But
Gannon, you think he can turn it around? I feel like there's anyone. Gannon is a really good head coach.
I think so. I feel as if last year, the defensively, the Cardinals were just trying shit.
Yep.
They were just trying to see what worked, and they weren't trying to give up explosive plays, so they played in like quarters coverage all the time. But their defense is still very unproven to me. But that's why I think the NFC West is so good. And number one is Dak. I think Dak is the most underrated. I do. I feel like he has to shoulder a huge load for Dallas. He does.
I think Dak, because I see Riv's face is looking crazy. I think the only reason Dak gets underrated is because of the playoffs.
We just had him as an MVP candidate.
It's just because I think it's crazy. Maybe not crazy because of roster construction, but the thought of moving off Dak for the Dallas Cowboys, I don't know what other option you want out there. I don't think you're finding a quarterback upgrade. I get it. You got to pay CD. You got to pay Micah. You got to pay Dak. Figure it out. It's not my job. Somebody in Dallas has to figure that out because you need all three quarterbacks there.
The reason why I think Dak is underrated, the stat I mentioned with Josh Allen earlier, where when he's hit or hurried, he's 6th in EPA. Dak was number one. Dak under duress.
Dak had a great season.
I know he did. He over the past 2 seasons, he's been number 2 in success rate. Number 1 is Brock Purdy. I mean, he leads like all those advanced metrics.
He's not on your list.
No, because Jimmy Garoppolo was 10th over the past 2 seasons.
Wow,
that's why.
he just
Jimmy's
did it.
10, Purdy's 1. A 10 spot jump. You just said.
Well, that's adding in the Raiders tenure with Jimmy G.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, over the past 2 seasons.
I thought
you meant with San Fran. My bad.
It's not a knock on Purdy because I think
Obviously it was.
I think Purdy has great traits to him. But
Purdy's not underrated.
Where are we ranking Dak? Like, he's around 10 for me.
He's a top 10 quarterback.
He's like a top 8 quarterback.
But like 10, like he'd be like 9, 10.
8 to 12, somewhere in that
He
range.
was just about to win MVP if he didn't fuck up and lose that big game. I forgot who they played.
Well, he lost to Miami. That was
Packers.
a fold, and then he lost.
No, it was before that. It was a
regular
regular season game where he had an opportunity.
The Dolphins?
It might have been the Dolphins.
No, the Bills. You're talking about the Bills.
The Bills game.
That
They got smoked out.
And I think Dak Prescott still has those question marks. But the reason why I call him underrated is because, like I said, he's been one of the best quarterbacks in the league the past 2 years. And every ounce of the Cowboys' failures gets put on him. I think that's the national media in general. And if you would hear how they talk about Dak, you would think that he's easily replaceable. And Dehls is just mentioning that it's hard to replace a guy like that. And there are teams that are hoping he hits the open market because that's going to make their quarterback room that much better. They're going to have a guy that can actually win. But you look at what he has to overcome. Offensive line injuries he's had to overcome. Lack of playmakers on the outside. CeeDee Lamb is a great player, but really they didn't do much to surround him outside of that. The running game wasn't there last year. And every year we continue to say the Cowboys are just a bit short. Well, this past year, I feel worse about them than coming into this last season, because they were smoked out versus the Packers, and against elite teams, they didn't look like they matched up. But that's because Dak has to cover up for so much. But Jerry Jones, who's always hell-bent on winning, doesn't open up his checkbook and bring in top-end talent. They lost Tyron Smith this past season. Terrence Steele, who's starting at right tackle for them, last year he was one of the worst tackles in the league. And now you're starting Tyler Guyton, a rookie left tackle, opposite of him, and Tyler Biadasz left in free agency. There's 3 new starters. All 3 of them could very well be below average. They are asking Dak to do a lot with a not so talented supporting cast. And I feel like whenever they lose, it gets pinned on him. But he, like a lot of other quarterbacks at the top of the league, he is carrying an offense, and he's carrying it to where the numbers are at the top of the league. And he's doing a lot for an offense that really should be helping him more.
I think your thought process is sound. I do believe that Dak gets a lot of blame. Do I think that he's the only reason that they lost to the Packers? Absolutely not. Watch the game. The defense was atrocious for the Cowboys. He was to blame, though. Not the main. He is to blame.
Yeah, for sure.
He did not play well. Them going down 21-0, he had a hand in that. So I do believe that overall, I agree Dak can be underrated. But he's still not free of criticism like a lot of other quarterbacks. I'm not saying that you're saying that he's a perfect quarterback, but I couldn't say he deserves to be 1 on this list for the fact of he was just an MVP candidate. He was just top 3 in MVP, if I'm not mistaken, and was second team.
All-Pro?
All-Pro, or did Josh snatch that from him?
He wasn't an All-Pro.
It was Josh was second team.
It probably was, yeah.
Interesting, because then Dak came in second in MVP, but didn't come in second All-Pro.
So I'm looking at the All-Pro team right now. I think
it
quarterback was Lamar.
And then second
Lamar was
Dak.
first team, second team. You're right. It was Dak.
Correct. Okay,
Yeah.
I thought so.
He can't be underrated.
He was acknowledged. He can be underrated for people trying to say, like they're saying, that he's replaceable. That's bullshit and wrong.
Okay, that's fair. But he just made second team.
One on this list, Trevor Lawrence. To me, Trevor Lawrence, if you would have put him number one, I would have put my hands up and
Do
should
you
be
think that the
K1.
perception is that Dak Prescott is much better than Trevor Lawrence?
much better.
Because I mean, from what I see, I feel
Is
like
he much
both
better
guys,
than Trevor?
I think Dak is better than
Much
Trevor.
better is the word you use. That's why I'm
I think they're in the same tier. Not gonna lie.
much better is no.
They're close. I think Dak is much more consistent, and
He does have a lot. He has a better situation. Although Dak's not great, it's significantly better than what Trevor has.
Like, I look at Dak-
in the league for fucking 8 years.
and
you know what I mean?
the other top quarterbacks in the league. I look at Dak and I compare what he's gotten coaching wise in his career to all the other guys. I think he's gotten lesser coaching staffs, and it's kind of.
You're not a McCarthy guy anymore?
I think McCarthy's really good, but he's not Sean McVay. He's not one of the top offensive coaches in the league. And
Trevor Lawrence had Doug Peterson.
no, I know. With Dak Prescott,
That's why I put Trevor Lawrence here.
with Dak Prescott, it's not just the this year thing. It's more so of like an overarching outlook of his career, where I feel like Dak Prescott is going to go down as one of the more underrated quarterbacks that played in this era.
But like no Herbert on this list either.
I feel like I always see Herbert in top 5 lists.
I feel like K1 should be one on everybody's list.
That's also fine.
I
I'm
think
fine with K1.
He's
I
the
think-
one that's getting called
I thought
complete
K1's
trash.
placement was great.
No, if Kyler's one, I have no argument with that.
Yeah.
I don't. But I think it's just an overarching outlook on Dak's career where I think he's he's probably
Dak-
the most underrated
That
quarterback.
gets
in this
underrated
era.
because at the end of every Cowboys season, they disappoint.
Yep.
And so because they disappoint, you always, and we do this with every quarterback, this isn't just a Dak thing. You look at the quarterback first. It always happens. It happens with Josh. Mahomes wins all the time, so it doesn't really happen with him. But it happens with Lamar. Like, it happens. So this isn't just a Dak thing. But Dallas always disappoints. And it just so happens that last year, it was just a lot worse than most years. And Dak was one of the main components of that.
No, yeah, I agree with that. I mean, the Packers loss was embarrassing.
It was in Dallas, too. That's what made it worse.
He just gets hated so much that I think he could get underrated. But similar to you, how you say you see Justin Herbert in the top 5, and I do see Herbert in a lot of top 5s, but I think I just saw Chris Sims and he was like 7 or some shit. But I think since Dak gets so much hate, the perception is possibly he's underrated. But I also think when I see quarterback rankings, I've never seen Dak's placement and been like, that's out of line. Like, he's been pretty consistent, like top 12. And shit, for Herbert, it's not like I ever see him outside the top 10 or anything crazy.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I feel like the Dak Prescott underrated ranking, it could fall in line with a lot of other quarterbacks. Brock Purdy, I think Jared Goff.
Yeah, come on.
Those are guys
Let
that
it
come,
out.
Oh, Tua. He wasn't in my mind, but
Yeah.
I could give you the benefit of the doubt.
Tua
too.
easily can
To
be
be
on
fair,
this
I've seen
list.
Trevor Lawrence ranking drop.
I'm in
bad,
no mood
Who's your-
for a 50-minute debate. But the players that I did have,
But my fourth was Trevor Lawrence as well.
I had Trevor Lawrence, Tua Tagovailoa, Kirk Cousins, Justin Herbert, Kyler Murray. I feel like those are the 5 you have to have. I respect Geno Smith here. To me, that's another one I feel like I haven't heard overly
I just don't see a lot of Geno
criticized.
conversations.
Correct. And
That's what it
that's
is.
where it can be fair to say that's
Yeah,
disrespect alone.
I don't see Seattle get talked about a lot.
They don't because they're mid.
Yeah.
They're mid.
That's what it is. So it might be underrated. I just don't see a lot of people talk about Geno or
He
Seattle.
just has to make up for he was a bust, second round pick,
Which is a
backup
lot.
type
That-
thing.
that
So
shit
like
is a lot to
even
make
when
up
he
for.
put up the 30 touchdown, 10 interception
Now you have to
season,
make up for it.
it's still
You gotta see
like
it again.
that's not enough. Like you've been a backup basically for a decade, and now you have one good year. So I think that's why he still gets underrated.
I think the point you made was the reason why I had him as an underrated quarterback is because he doesn't get talked about, but he is asked to do the things that all the guys that we're talking about on the top
believe
are
it.
asked to do. And he makes a lot of those really insane throws.
It's just the quarter. It's just so many talented quarterbacks. So like I'm gonna do my quarterback list in August. I just don't know if it's gonna be like higher than like 16 maybe. I think that's like kind of where he fits. That's not disrespect. It's just it's gonna be 15 guys ahead of him that are probably like 15, 14.
I need him at 12.
Yeah, no, and I think that I can't knock that
You'd rather
ranking too
Jared
much.
Goff than Brock Purdy.
Ooh.
You know what I mean?
They're super close. I like Purdy's mobility a lot.
We're here, guys. Come on.
But Jared Goff I think has better arm. It's close. They're gonna be
Tua or
same tier.
Purdy?
Probably Purdy.
We're here,
His
Dehls.
mobility.
You heard that Tua lost weight.
I know.
A substantial amount.
I know.
He looks. We said last time. He looks like a different dude.
I know. It'll be interesting to see if it does translate to him being more mobile, because that's the hope. I'm almost positive the training regimen was catered solely for him to be more mobile this offseason.
Has CD went to camp yet?
I don't believe so.
If you look at Tua's rookie year, he was moving.
I know.
He was moving.
I know. I remember.
Didn't he have like that hip injury coming out?
He did. He broke his femur. He broke his hip or his femur, one of the two.
Yeah.
But also, when I did my prediction 2 years ago for his upcoming season, when I was like, here he is, breaking out, going to have an amazing season, I catered in 5 rushing touchdowns for the fact of he used to run. He used to go and scramble as a quarterback, but I feel like now with the concussion or the multiple concussions and that fear, they try to take that part of his game out. But it's such a huge part to modern football that you do need it, unfortunately, for Tua, where he does have to be safe because another concussion legitimately can end his career. So it'll be interesting to see if he does add it to his game, because I think I think we all know he has the capabilities to do it. It's just a matter of if it's smart for him to do that as a human being.
I think that's fair, and it's really a give or take with that. You know, he added on weight so he could take on more hits.
Yes.
He's now losing weight to be more
Lamar
mobile.
dropped weight too. He said he's down to like
210,
15 to get more agile.
He's also skinny.
He does look skinny, yeah.
We should do a top 30 quarterback list.
Top 30?
Like come in here and do a five every episode.
Or 32?
Sorry, 32.
Because it's 32.
I like that.
Yeah.
Well, every episode we
you do 5.
We did that
reveal.
like with the power rankings last year.
Yeah, do that for quarterbacks.
Yeah, shit, we got another month till training camp.
We got to make shit up. You know what I'm saying? Just throwing out some ideas.
That's a great idea. I like that idea.
We could do wide receivers. Wide receivers is fun. We got some guys think Terry McLaurin is like top 12. Others think he's bottom 10.
Good.
No, that's what I'm saying. Receivers would be fun.
Nico Collins is already better than Terry McLaurin ever was.
Terry McLaurin, him alone is maybe getting me to bond to Jaden Daniels a little bit. I have to.
I'm in on Jaden.
You're in?
I'm in.
Okay.
I'm in. He's going to be extremely accurate this season.
He might be the 3rd best quarterback in the division.
I mean, yeah, duh.
That's a shot
Duh,
at him.
fuck you.
He's a Daniel Jones.
Daniel Jones has no fucking flaws. Screw you.
Dehls went over your head, man.
I mean,
Did Mac Jones come into your mind for underrated quarterbacks?
He low-key, he did. But he's like a backup now, so it's like, I don't know if that's really...
He came into my mind, too.
Who?
Mac Jones.
I think Mac, there's another world. Mac goes to San Francisco.
What if he goes to New York? They need a quarterback.
I'm saying when he got drafted.
No, the Patriots fucked him, man.
Terribly.
They did.
No lube.
Yeah.
Imagine his career. He probably feels like he probably be at the home like the Patriots really fucked my career up.
Bro, they gave him nothing to succeed.
Now I'm a backup.
Jacksonville. That's such a terrible beat.
I think he'll get a chance next year.
He might have
to
the
compete
Geno
somewhere.
life.
I'll be honest. The Broncos low-key should have traded for him.
What was it? What did they give up? Like
Sixth.
They gave us a 6th-round pick.
Sure, you're giving up a 7
Like
for
we
Zach.
traded.
Get a
That's
6
exactly
for
what I'm
Mac,
saying.
Yeah.
That's exactly my point.
Mac Jones went to he's from Jacksonville. I think he's from there.
Really?
So bro's just trying to be a career
So good
backup.
at
Is that
Bama,
what he
man.
wants to be?
He'll
I
get
don't
his-
know.
he'll get his eventual
I think
time.
Mac Jones, he can be like a good starter. I think the ceiling with him is really, really low, but the Patriots really just gave him nothing to work with.
Said, here's 2 terrible offensive coordinators. Here's no weapons. Go out there and do it. He's like, I'm going to take you to the playoffs. He's like, I'm going to make it even worse.
No, it's pretty terrible. But yeah, we could do that next episode. NFL stuff. We got free agency coming up too.
It's gonna be lit.
Free agency is gonna be lit too.
We have the draft this week.
Yeah, next week is Wednesday. I
Can't
believe,
wait.
the draft. So we'll do a mock draft on Monday, and we could start the quarterback list, and then we could do the division stuff maybe in the middle of the week or that same episode. It don't matter. It's either or.
Do it.
We got content.
All right, we are gonna see you guys later. You guys can follow us on Twitter at PickAsidePod, on Instagram and TikTok at PickAsidePodcast. We'll see you guys next time.